Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. We got the latest to Manchester United news and Mickey van de Ven surprise bid from Manchester United, possibly on the cards. We're going to talk about that. New fresh links, follow-ups with Tchouaméni potentially leaving Real Madrid and maybe possibly going to Manchester United. We also got fresh updates surrounding Carlos Baleba. All the usual midfield prospects, Elliot Anderson, Joao Gomes, etc., etc. We got some press quotes from Michael Carrick, and we got a bit of a transfer hint sort of update and, indirect updates surrounding the manager situation. Some interesting details coming out around sort of that story. So we're going to get into that. Loads to talk about. There's also, little bits and pieces of little other transfer stories. Smaller, one with Rashford, one with a couple other players here and there. So we'll get into those as well. Make sure you're smashing the like button to massive help to the channel. Get that done, people, please. And thank you very, very much. Hope everybody is doing well. I know I'm doing a little bit better. I was sick, so we were supposed to stream yesterday, but I have a bit of a cold. I've recovered slightly. I am a little bit better. Yesterday I was in a fog, man. I was like, I would normally do the show, but I was just like, I can't even think straight for 2 minutes. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to do a proper show for the people. So I had to take off, but it's good to be back. I hope everybody is doing well. But yeah, let's just sort of get into the news today. And we're going to start off with two small updates or a couple updates about Carlos Baleba. We had Laurie Whitwell, the almighty Laurie Whitwell. Okay, everybody loves Laurie. All right. And Laurie, obviously working for The Athletic, and everybody loves The Athletic, and rates them super, super, super creditable. And when they speak, people listen. So they came out earlier this morning, saying that Manchester United valued Carlos Baleba at around £75 million last summer, but Brighton Hove Albion wanted over £100 million, which we know, which is why that deal didn't materialize, because if they weren't trying to get over £100 million, we might actually have had Baleba this season, possibly. Laurie is saying that United now believe that a fee closer to £50 million is more reasonable, which would probably align with many of our fans. Many of our fans have either been totally put off by Baleba and don't want him at all, or the ones that do still want him and wouldn't mind taking him have been generally saying that, listen, to take him, there's no way we're paying 100 million for him or anything close to that, not even 80. A lot of people quoting around 60 million, probably around the 50 million mark, 55 million. So this is coming from Laurie. Now, after he gave us that update, okay, a couple hours later, Alex Crook came out with his own update saying that Brighton have no intention of selling Carlos Baleba at £50 million this summer. So obviously, the discrepancy is there. I would assume Brighton, being Brighton, and looking out for their own interests, are quite clearly, obviously, going to try and get as high as possible. I doubt that they'll ultimately probably go for 100 million, but they'll probably still ask somewhere around for 80 and come down from that point. United are obviously going to try and go as low as possible. We valued him at 75. They asked for 100 plus. He hasn't had a great season. We're saying he's valued at 50. They're probably going to go for 80, and then maybe we meet in the middle somewhere if we follow through on that deal, of course. There might have been one or two more slight updates into that, and I was trying to piece everything together, so let me just check to see, so we could close that story fully out. And we can move on to Van de Ven, and we could also move on to Michael Carrick, Marcus Rashford, Mateus Mane of Wolves, Elliot Anderson, Sensi from Bournemouth, and of course, Tchouaméni and, Camavinga. So, I don't see any other updates. So, I mean, listen, on Carlos Baleba, I think this is one. Obviously, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't know of any other clubs really that's actually interested in him, which sort of aligns with generally what United do anyway and what United like. You know, the Mbeumo one had a bunch of competition to it. Cunha had a slight bit of competition, but we were we were front runners for both of those. And I just think, you know, with the Baleba one, it's not going to go anywhere, and I still think it's a big possibility that it could happen, especially if we ultimately don't get Elliot Anderson. And listen, last summer transfer window, like, you know, Liam Delap and Matheus Cunha were our two top main priorities for the start of the window. We quite clearly, obviously, didn't get Liam Delap, and we got Matheus Cunha, and then we had to pivot from there. And, you know, maybe something similar happens this summer where, you know, Elliot Anderson is our main target, along with probably one other guy. And maybe we don't get Elliot Anderson, and then we're going to have to pivot out of there and move forward. So I think Carlos Baleba will fully remain on the table because as far as I know, and I haven't seen any reports about this, but I don't see interest from any other clubs for Carlos Baleba. You know, you get updates about Elliot Anderson, you know, or Tonali or whoever it may be, and it's like, yeah, United's interested, so is City, and even for VEN, it's United, Liverpool. There's always a couple other clubs, but Baleba, I'm not aware. Every time they mention Baleba, it's only just Manchester United. So if that's the case as well, and there isn't really any real interest from any other clubs, well, you know, the Baleba story will go up until we either sign him or up until the window closes if we don't actually go for him. Many people think we will end up signing him, which is always a possibility, 100%. But we never know how these things may actually turn out. You know, the transfer rumors and transfer stories are, quite a whirlwind at times. So, but let's move on to sort of this Van de Ven story, okay? Because this one has been sort of mentioned at some point a few weeks ago earlier. And it's sort of resurfaced now, and it obviously makes sense that it's resurfacing because, you know, Spurs look like they're going to get relegated. And if Spurs get relegated, I mean, people are expecting sort of a massive clear out. We are also getting breaking news right now about Elliot Anderson, I'm seeing right now, so we will get to that in a second, I promise. But Laurie Whitwell, the same, doing his update this morning, okay? He said that Manchester United are considering making a move for Mickey Van de Ven this summer. And, we might possibly need a centre-back. And if Spurs do get relegated, I'm sure there's a deal to be done there, for a player of his quality. And you'd probably be able to get him for, a discount of some sort, which, listen, if that's a possibility, then maybe it's something that United would like to do, because it is a circumstance that may have potentially not been on the table at one point, but now is on the table, and therefore they will sort of pivot to do such a thing if they feel like the deal is good enough and it fits and it works for us. Now, there was a couple other details that sort of followed this, and I have to go get it because the internet wasn't working correctly. So, let me find it. So we got actually another, I think it was another one or two updates. This one following Laurie Whitwell, this is Ben Jacobs, and Ben Jacobs was speaking about Van de Ven, and said Manchester United have discussed Mickey Van de Ven internally, but his future at Tottenham Hotspur depends on their situation. A relegation could trigger a move, while survival may see Spurs push hard for a new long-term deal. Well, here's the thing. If I was him, whether they get relegated or not, I mean, if they don't get relegated, I'm not a Spurs fan and I'm not a Spurs player, so maybe it's different. I don't know. But the fact that they are where they are, even if they survived relegation, and even if they came to me and they pushed hard for a new long term deal, I'm not signing a new long term deal at Spurs. I think you would have to be a fool to do such a thing, considering where they are, the season they just had, over the season that they just had before. De Zerbi, they've signed him to sort of a long-term deal. But I don't see what the actual reason would be for a player like him to survive relegation and then sign a long-term deal. I think, in my opinion, if I was his agent, I would advise him not to do such a thing. I think that's quite stupid. Also, I don't really see how. I mean, in my opinion, Spurs could push as hard as they want for a new long-term deal. I don't think they have any power really in that because he doesn't have to sign a new deal. And, maybe he doesn't move this summer, but he can also just run down to 1 year in his contract and maybe just see how it goes and go from there. I think all the power is in his court. It's in his position. So I don't really think them staying up and avoiding relegation means that he 100% won't move. Maybe it moves the needle slightly. Obviously, if they are relegated, there's probably a way higher chance of him leaving because, a player like him is going to be playing in the championship. They're probably going to want to move. Whereas if they stay in the Prem, maybe he just stays, and see how things go. But there was also this other update here saying that Mickey van de Ven links to Manchester United. Ben Jacobs has said there has been no approach to Spurs, which I expect, and as of now, there has been zero approach to the player's side from Manchester United either. Yeah, I mean, I don't really expect any sort of advancements right now. We obviously have our other priorities first. Van de Ven is not really a priority. And the centre back is not really a priority when you line it up next to sort of the midfield. We're also apparently, trying to battle Manchester City for Elliot Anderson. And Manchester City are apparently favorites, and they, seem like there is some sort of movement happening there. It's been reported that City/United would like to do a deal before he actually goes to the World Cup. So, the time to do such a thing is running out, which means we could see some actual, real, sort of significant update/movement coming in on this, rather sooner rather than later. And, so I'm not surprised that there's been no approach to Spurs. Number one, obviously, we got to see if they're actually going to get relegated or not. And number two, in terms of priority in our transfer list, obviously the midfield takes precedent over every other position. Van de Ven is a centre back, so we're going to try and deal with the midfield first, and then we'll go on to if we want a centre back, we could go on to that after. I don't know. I do feel like that it's probably highly unlikely that we get Van de Ven. I don't know why. It just feels unrealistic to me. I mean, I would take him. I like the guy. But I just feel like these sort of high-profile snatch a player from Spurs because they got relegated and, he's worth 100 million and we'll get him for 50 or something like that. I just feel like it's not going to happen. I also do feel like, with us, our name is always mentioned in literally everything, whether we're actually want the player or don't want the player. So, I mean, right now it's sort of a perfect storm of, well, Spurs are in a relegation spot. They aren't looking that good. Many people are talking about this, and many people are literally having a discussion on if they're going to get relegated or not. Many people feel like they're going to get relegated. I'm one of them. I think they will. Roy Keane was literally just talking about it on the podcast that they do. And he said, bet all your money on Spurs staying up. Take all your money and put it that Spurs will stay up. So we'll see. I have a bet that Spurs is going to go down. So me versus Roy Keane, who's going to win? We'll find out. But just to close this Van de Ven thing off for now, and we'll move on to other things. Ben Jacobs also said if Liverpool were to enter the race for Mickey Van de Ven, he would unquestionably choose them over Manchester United. Well, if that's the case, well then, fuck off, Van de Ven. I don't know what else to say. But so it's kind of weird that he throws that out there. I mean, what is the reason for that? That he would unquestionably choose Liverpool over Manchester United? How do you already have that information? This is why I don't really rate Ben Jacobs 100%. I mean, I don't think he makes stuff up completely out of thin air, but I don't hold him to the same level as like Laurie Whitwell, even Fabrizio. I think Ben Jacobs is just very mid-tier. Again, like he says these things, to me, you're a journalist, but that sounds like an opinion piece to me. And somebody will say I'm biased because I'm a United fan. I'm not taking the news well. No, but generally, like, listen, when he reports, when Ben Jacobs says there has been no approach to Spurs, and as of now, there has been zero approach to the player's side from Manchester United either, that's actual news. That's actual reporting. That's actual journalism. You are giving us insight. There's no opinion there. There's no room for it to be interpreted any other way. You are giving us a status update. There hasn't been an approach. There hasn't been to Spurs or the player's side. That's the actual real news. When you get to the point where he says if Liverpool were to enter the race for Mickey Van de Ven, he would unquestionably choose them over Manchester United. That sounds like it's half opinion, 75% opinion. That doesn't sound like an actual update that you contacted his agent or somebody in his camp and they were just like, oh yeah, by the way, Ben, no club has approached Spurs about my player, and United hasn't approached us either. And by the way, Ben, if Liverpool were to get involved, we'd definitely go to Liverpool 100% over Manchester United, unquestionably. So when you do your update later on the United stand, make sure you add that in there, okay? Just so they know, all right? But I mean, listen, the Van de Ven thing, I guess we'll see how it goes. I do think that we could maybe possibly use a centre-back because I am a bit concerned about the centre-back position, as you can see in the situation that we are currently in, okay? We've had to play Mazawari next to Aiden Heaven. Now, luckily enough, Chelsea are shit, and also Maz and Heaven did a good job. Because I'm not taking anything away from their performance, especially when you have two players that, they haven't played as much football as the others, okay? Maz isn't necessarily naturally a center-back, and when it comes to center-back pairings, okay, usually it's very hard to sort of be on the same page and play well when you don't have sort of a run of games together in that center-back partnership. And that center-back partnership is sort of a hard thing to do. It's not just like you drop somebody in at right back or something like that, or you drop somebody in at right winger. The center-back partnership is a bit difficult. Not difficult. Well, it's difficult, but it's delicate. I think it's delicate. It's similar to the partnership in the central midfield as well. So, the center-back situation that we're in right now, okay? Well, Maguire was suspended, okay? He's back now, but Maguire was suspended. Leach was injured, came back, got suspended. De Ligt injured for a while now, okay? And then Lenny picks up an injury. And you go from having, a decent core of center-backs which have done a good job since Michael Carrick have come in. They've definitely improved. We've conceded less goals. We've defended better. And you go from that, and then all of a sudden, we take a loss to Leeds. We're going away to Stamford Bridge. We don't have the best record there. And now you're looking and you go, well, shit. We literally have one actual centre-back, a guy that's played centre-back, but we know him for playing right-back. And there's no more depth after that. So hopefully neither one of these have a shit game. Hopefully neither one of them get in trouble, yellow card, red card wise. And hopefully none of them get an injury, because we're down to the bare bones. And this is sort of the issue, I guess, the fear, the little bit of fear that I have, okay, for next season, because I keep saying this. We're going to play at least double the matches we've played this season. We've had some periods throughout the season, we've had sort of mini injury crises. The squad has looked a bit thin at times. And I am concerned for next season because I want us to obviously have another good season. I want us to build on this season. I want us to again finish in the Champions League spots. I want us to have a good Premier League campaign, a strong one, and I want us obviously to do better in the cups, in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. And when you look at this centre-back situation, Maguire is on the older side, and Maguire does tend to do his hamstring at least maybe twice a season, which is a bit of an issue. Now, he doesn't tend to miss a ton of games, but he does go missing here and there, which is fine. Excuse me. Which is fine for a certain part, because, I mean, you tend to have Euro, you tend to have Heaven, you'd have Licha, and you'd have Matthijs de Ligt, so you should have enough. But de Ligt's injury has really caused a lot of concern and worry for me, because a guy that has had sort of an extensive injury list, to the extent that he's had at his age, and for him to get this injury that he's gotten in a season that we haven't even played a lot of football is very worrying to me. I like de Ligt a lot. I wish there was something that I can just, wave a wand or something, and he'd be back and we'd have him back and we don't have to worry about him. But obviously that doesn't exist. And I'm very worried about him next season, because he is a player that we look to rely on, and he is a player that we need, and we need him to be fit, and we need him to be a part of the majority of next season. And this season has really worried, this injury has really worried me, because it was supposed to be 2 weeks, and it's going to be 5 to 6 months, which is a very, very bad sign. Very, very bad. So de Ligt has gone into an area for me right now, because he's going to have to come back and prove that, this was just sort of a one-time really bad thing, and I've gotten over the hump, and we can put this behind us and move on. But what if he fails that? What if next season the same thing, something similar happens, where we lose de Ligt for 4 to 5 months of next season? Okay, that's big trouble. Because then we also have Licha. And Licha is a little bit like, listen, when he's available, okay, and he's playing for us, he's brilliant. But there's still a bit of an iffy question mark over how much can he stay fit throughout a season. Compound that with, we're going to be playing him a lot more, because we're going to be playing a lot more games, so there's going to be a lot more minutes on him. Is he going to be able to sustain that? Or is he going to break down at some point and have sort of some type of a bad injury where we're going to miss him for, possibly a few months? So we might need a centre-back. VEN is overrated. I think Maguire is better. Well, The thing about VEN and why people really like him, because again, I don't think necessarily his defending is like elite status, okay? But what helps him out a lot is one, he's good in the air. But his number one attribute is his speed, which is actually the opposite of Harry Maguire. So he's, I think he's rated fairly highly because he's a centre back that has an immense amount of pace for somebody in that position, which can help you a lot in many different situations. I still think he's a decently good defender, and I'd take him for, a good price. I don't think, we're going to spend 80 million on him. If we get him for 50, I think that's a good deal to do. He's Premier League proven. He's played some pretty good games throughout his time at Spurs. And I think that attribute at centre back could unlock a couple things as well. With that amount of pace, it would probably allow us to push up higher. I think we should go for Muriello. Well, as far as I know, Muriello isn't really in the picture right now. But one guy that is or has been named is Marco Sensi, who plays for Bournemouth. And one of the updates that we gotten from Marco Sensi is that the race for Sensi remains open. He fits the profile Manchester United are targeting at centre-back. He's unlikely to join Tottenham if they are relegated, despite them currently leading the race. So, there's an interesting one there. It's kind of a double whammy for Spurs because, if they get relegated, he's not going to join them. And then they'll also probably lose Van de Ven as well. Could be a double plus for us if Spurs get relegated because we could possibly get Van de Ven, or we could go and get Sensi from Bournemouth. It's interesting that sort of the centre-back position is being spoken about right now. It's sort of popping up a little bit more on the radar. And, maybe this is because of sort of the situation that I was just explaining. Maybe United weren't really thinking of looking too much at a centre back, but maybe because of the injury to De Ligt, maybe it's caused some worries, and maybe they've had to sort of shift a little bit of attention to the centre back area and see if they're going to do something there. And if there is a deal available, I'm sure they'll do it, because here's the thing with INEOS, they'll have some set targets, and they'll have sort of the plan that they want to go for. But if an opportunity that maybe they don't really think is possible, like let's say right now they're evaluating options, and there is an opportunity or two that they don't really think is that plausible right now, but then changes and becomes a lot more plausible, somewhere in the middle of the transfer window, they may pivot and go and do that deal. And go and get, whatever player that is at that time, to fill out the rest of the squad. So, we could see what happens with this. I don't know how much Marco Sensi would really go for, but I'm not 100% against it either. Again, I do like us sort of going. Marco Sensi is 28. Which is a bit strange for us because it's outside of the INEOS sort of age limit that we've seen. So many people will be quick to dismiss that and say he's too old and we won't go for him, which could very much be true. But one of the things that I'll be interested in this sort of upcoming transfer market is to see if actually INEOS do end up breaking that with one or two players in one or two positions somewhere. It says he's valued at 22 million euros, which would be a tick in the box for INEOS because it's sort of on a cheaper deal. And I don't know when his contract his contract expires his contract expires June 30th, 2026. So, in fact, he's a free agent, which double checks the box for INEOS. And maybe they would be okay with getting a 28-year-old player if we're getting him on a free. So I did not know that, but makes a lot more sense. He is left-footed as well, which I do think we actually need. As well, we do need sort of another left-footed center back because all we really have is Lisandro, to play on the left center back spot. So interesting, that one. That one might have some legs to it. He could be maybe the one that maybe INEOS break their sort of age rule for. Because if you're getting them on a free, I don't think they'll mind too much about the age. I think they worry about the age when you have to pay sort of a decently large fee because of the resale, probability. And if they're over a certain age, it's going to be hard to recoup any money if the player doesn't work out. My quick example to that would be, they signed Manuel Ugarte. He was of the age that they have been going for, and obviously hasn't worked out quite well. So, but as you see, there is some interest in Manuel Ugarte, and we will recoup some of a fee for him. So I think that's why they usually are a bit, jokingly, I'll say ageist. Renault says, "What's up, Eric? Quiet day today. How you feeling, Holmes?" I'm a little bit better. Not 100% yet, but better. Yesterday I couldn't breathe. I'm still a little bit stuffed up, but I was more stuffed up, and I was just like, I was trying to put the show together, and I was like reading stuff, and I was just like, I can't focus for like longer than 2 minutes. I was like, I can't do this show. But today I woke up feeling better. I actually went outside for a jog, although maybe I shouldn't have done that because I'm not 100%, but I had to get those steps in, to burn those calories, so, and it's a nice day over here as well, so I thought I might go out in the sun a little bit, but I'm good. How you doing? Yeah, it's a bit of a quiet day in the chat today. It's Thursday. It's Baby Friday, so maybe people have some good weather and they're out enjoying it before Friday. So it is what it is. But we got people here anyway. Yeah, so Marco Sensi, maybe he's one that we do actually end up getting. Listen, that would be ideal as well. I mean, if he's going to be on a free, and we might need a center back, and we want to do all the other things we want to do, a free transfer at center back would be absolutely brilliant for us. A free transfer at center back is exactly probably what we need, because if we go back a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, I mean, some people were saying to get a center back, but center back wasn't really on the cards because of the midfield sort of rebuild. And we've always been told midfielders and United would like a winger. And then we see what happens from there. I still think we'll probably end up with 4 players. 5 would be nice, and 5 would be good, but I don't know. Maybe I'm doing a bit of reverse psychology here. I asked for 5 last summer window, and I said I think we need 5. I think 5 had to be the minimum. We didn't get 5, we got 4. But I think we'll get 4. I'm going with 4 this time again, because of the amount of money we need to spend in the middle of the park, and also, yeah, really just the money that we have to spend in the middle of the park, especially if we sell Ugarte. We need 3 central midfielders. I don't know how. I'm not confident in them doing such a thing, in signing 3 midfielders. I think that they don't necessarily want to do that because it feels like a bit of overload, but I mean, it is needed. So, in my head right now, trying to do just like quick basic maths, I mean, you sign 3 central midfielders and a winger. I don't see how we have room left to sign anybody else. Because the midfielders are quite decently expensive, and the winger could be on the cheaper side, but it's still going to cost you at least 40 million plus, is what I'm expecting. So, where exactly? Usually sunny here, Riverside, Cali, basically 60 miles east of LA. Well, I'm out in the suburbs in New York, so it's nice out here. Sunny. It's about like 68 degrees. I don't know what that is for you Celsius people. Sorry, I can't help you, But 68 F. So it's a nice day. And in New York, we have things like, we have like about 2 to 3 winters, 2 springs, like 3 summers, and like 4 falls. So, like last week, it was pretty nice for most of the week. And then this week, for most of the week, it went back to being cold and nasty. And then today, it's actually nice out. So, but we do have some other stories. Chat, I need you guys to bear with me, please. Okay, I need to go get my water, which I forgot in the other room. So you're gonna have a blank screen. Please don't leave. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I was dying for thirst. You're American? I am American, yes. I am American Maltese. I am first generation American. My family is from a small little country, island in the Mediterranean called Malta. But yes. I was born and raised here. New York all my life for 31 years. So where was I going on this? With a couple other stories we gotta get to. So there's one, obviously, the Marcus Rashford transfer saga continues. Okay. Nice. First generation too. GGMU. Nice, bro. Nice, bro. Nice, Joe. Joe Bay. Joe Bay. I'll call you Joe. If you don't mind. Nice, Joe. GGMU, brother. So there's Marcus Rashford transfer saga, okay? Ben Jacobs said on this, wasn't a large update, but he said, apparently there's been reports of talks between Rashford and Barcelona cooling. And Ben Jacobs said that cooled doesn't mean ended. Which I guess, sure, it does. Yes, he is right. But I mean, if you want the deal to go through and the saga to end, it's not really the most positive update Because, for me at this situation, I was kind of just hoping, especially when we first sent him out on loan. I've been saying, please go play well. Barca, sign him so we could be done, so everybody can move forward. Okay, and I thought he's done decently well for them, but Barca keeps playing the small violin, and woe is us, and they keep playing around with this, and they don't. They're trying everything they can to get a deal that really benefits only them, and United have been holding firm that we're not gonna bend the knee to Barcelona's sob story, and we're not going to be sort of held to ransom, basically, because that's what they are trying to essentially do. They're trying to hold us to ransom because they think that because we don't want Rashford and we would like to move him on, Barca are moving around like they can just get whatever deal they want, and I do give credit to INEOS here because we've had a lot of spineless cowards and a lot of spineless coward moments. And I do feel like in the past, Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold would have definitely bent the knee and they would have just gave Barcelona whatever deal they wanted to just get it done or whatever, because they didn't know what they were doing. And, they were cowards. So, but INEOS is standing strong, and, it's a bit of a hard fight because it is a bit of a difficult one. I mean, he is on very high wages, and we don't actually want him, and we don't plan to bring him back, and we don't plan to keep him. So, and he only has about 2 years left on his contract, so it's not the it's not the easiest situation to stand firm in and try and get something that's helpful to the club. But there was this update that followed that, but this came from the Sun, so be aware, because it's the Sun. But they said that Newcastle United could move for Marcus Rashford if talks between Barcelona and Manchester United collapse. He's valued at around 40 million euros, and he's a realistic target for Newcastle. So it's interesting. I mean, there has been links or talks that Anthony Gordon may leave Newcastle, and if Anthony Gordon leaves Newcastle, then maybe Newcastle United would look to bring in Marcus Rashford as Anthony Gordon's replacement. I don't know how they would necessarily. I don't 100% buy it, because how they're gonna afford to pay him that wage. I mean, I don't know their wage structure there, but I do know that they have an issue with getting the money in that they have. They are the richest football club in the world, but they cannot access it. And that sort of shows with the fact that, they sold Isaac for a crazy amount, but they still have some issues with finances, and to acquire new players, they have to sell players. They're going to lose possibly Sandro Tonali, which they'll get another good transfer fee for, but it's not like they just have an open checkbook and they're buying whoever they want. They're not doing what Chelsea has done, and they can't do what Manchester City is doing right now. They are quite restricted in that regard. I'm sure they can definitely afford 40 million euros, but I don't know if they would be willing to give Marcus Rashford the wage that Marcus Rashford is probably going to want, because being on 300 and, what is it, 50,000, 25,000 a week, you're only going to take so much of a pay cut. I mean, 275K, 250K, I don't really see it going lower than that because of the wage he's on. Are they really going to be able to or want to pay that per week? Maybe they want, maybe they will, but I think that could be a problem there. So Omar says also, why are we going for a center back? We should go for 3 mids, a striker, a left back, and maybe a right back. Well, I mean, I kind of explained. not only are we idiots, but we have a brain tumor and damage. Well, I kind of explained why we might be going for a centre back, and the reason why we may be going for a centre back is because if you look at the centre back situation, okay, look at our centre back situation right now. Who did we just play at centre back last game? Mazawari and Aiden Heaven. And while I like Maz at centre back, and I said I prefer him in that position, and he did well when we were playing a three back or a 5 back, whatever you call it. Okay? Maguire out suspended, Leacher out suspended, and De Ligt had a 2-week injury turn into basically a season-ending injury because we're not going to see him and he's not going to make it back. So his injury went from 2 weeks to it's going to be about 5 to 6 months injury. And we're playing, and this is happening in a season where we have played the least amount of games we've played in, I believe, a Premier League era. And we're going into Champions League next season. We're going to play at least double, if not almost 2.5 times the amount of matches. We expect to go much further in the FA Cup. We definitely expect not to get knocked out of the Carabao Cup in the first round. We're going to be playing Champions League matches against high-quality teams. And we're going to expect and want to have a very good Premier League campaign and run and finish back in a Champions League spot again. Maguire, I have no problem with him staying here and being a squad player. And he's doing so. But he is up there in age. Maguire will do his hamstring. He's done his hamstring the last 2-3 seasons in a row. And if it's not his hamstring, it's something else. But Maguire does go missing for a few weeks here and there, probably 2 to 3 times a season. So, he'll be sort of in and out. De Ligt, we have no clue what's going to happen with De Ligt. De Ligt could come back from this injury and he could be totally fine next season. Or we could be in the middle of the season or the beginning of the season and we could lose De Ligt for another 4 to 5 months. De Ligt is a player that we rely on in terms of if he's fit, he's starting centre-back for us. So we might not have that guy. Licha has a bit of a question mark over him because he's had the 2 really bad injuries. He's come back from that injury. He's gotten injured this season and hasn't played a lot of matches compared to next season. And we don't know what's going to happen with him either when you put the workload of the amount of matches. Because you say if Licha is fit, Licha's playing. And centre-backs, it's not a position that you swap around a lot. So if Licha's fit, Licha's going to be... You expect Licha to play at least 85% of the season, 80% of the season. That's a lot of workload. Is he going to be able to sustain that? Or is he going to get an injury? So we're looking at a centre-back because we may potentially need a centre-back. There is a worry there that we can end up in a part of the season where we're looking at our team and we are down to the bare bones at centre-backs like we are literally right now. Lenioro picks up an injury and we're playing with Aiden Heaven and Mazawari at centre-back, and there's not even any depth. What if one of them played like shit? Thankfully, they didn't, but what if one of them played like shit? What if one of them had a yellow card early in the game? We need to substitute them. We don't have that option. Do you want that to happen when we're playing, a crucial Champions League match? And it happens for weeks because we're down on players? So I can understand why they might be looking at a centre-back, because the centre-back position is one that there is a bit of a concern there for. Whereas the right-back and left-back positions, we do have players there, and we do have options there, and we do have the depth there. You might not like the quality there, and you might say that the quality needs to be better. But we're not going to get a left back and a right back. Again, we'll probably only be able to do 4 players. 5 the most. There's no way we're going over 5. There's no way we're going over 5. And I do agree, Omar, that we need 3 center mids. Because we sell Ugarte. We need 3 center mids. That's 3 out of the 5 players. And I'm being generous with the 5. That's 3 out of 4. They also want a winger. And we do need a winger as well. So there's only so much we could do. Dylan says 3 center mids. You mean you mean 2 CDMs? No. Not necessarily. We don't necessarily need 2 CDMs, Dylan. I mean, you could get 2 CDMs, but I don't think they have to specifically be central defensive midfielders. With the way we play, we basically have 2. Well, right now we have like a center mid and a center defensive mid. So we play in that way because Cass is more of a center defensive mid. Kobe is more of a central midfielder in his way. But Ugarte needs to go. And Ugarte should be sold. And Ugarte is not enough. So if you sell Ugarte, you got to get somebody in to replace him. And we're already down 1 midfielder. So, and we're losing Cass. So you need to replace Cass, you need to replace Ugarte, and you need to get the void that we already have. That's 3. Now, the makeup of them, whatever it is, that's their job to do it. But generally, in the central midfield, the 2 that we play, they got to go and buy 3 players. Whether it's 1 center defensive mid, 1 center mid, or, whatever. 2 center defensive mids and a more natural center mid, or 2 center mids and a center defensive mid, whatever it may be. But they need 3 central players. They're going to have to get 3 central players. So, I don't know. Owners being shit doesn't mean we're not linked to people, but it matters if we get any. Well, that is true. 2 center defensive mids and 1 center mid with Kobe. Owners won't look into any players until the summer. What do you mean? They're looking at players right now. They're not gonna move for any player until the window opens, but they are. We do have our links already. We have Dorgu next season. Mostly need a right back, to be honest. Well, that's the thing, though. I think that the right back position, and even the left back position, those positions are the positions that are on hold, and are gonna have to. We're gonna have to lose out on those this summer. Maybe not. For one of them, because like I said earlier, I mean, I'm sure they probably have some sort of, some sort of a list of targets for different areas, and they'll probably see what they could get. And maybe it doesn't go directly as the way we think it's going to go, sort of like last summer. I mean, last summer, we were in the same sort of time frame right now, and everybody was like, we need a number 10, we need a striker, we need a central midfielder, and we need whatever the 4th and 5th position. People were saying goalkeeper and, like a winger or wing back or something. Okay? That's what we were saying in April, early May. And it didn't necessarily go that way, did it? I mean, we ended up getting 2 number 10s, no central midfielder, a striker, we got a goalkeeper, we didn't get a wing back. So, it's not to say that the right back or left back can't happen or won't happen, but I do feel like as of right now, when you look at our situation in terms of needs, somewhere in some position or couple positions, we're going to have to, they have to make a call and say, well, we can only get players for these positions, and these positions we're going to have to deal with them later, because we're not going to be able to do everything, okay? Because some people want another striker, people want a left winger, people want central midfielders, people want a left back, People want a right back, and some people will say a center back. That's, it's every position. We're not going to be able to do such a thing. So I think we'll get 4 to 5 players. I don't see us going over 4 to 5 players. And for me, generally, if we're selling Ugarte and you say we're getting 4 to 5 players, 3 of them are central midfielders. So right off the bat, that's 3 players gone, done. And then, I think they'll probably go and get a left winger. I feel like they're going to do that deal somewhere with somebody because they supposedly were interested in Semenyo and they were going to get Semenyo for Ruben. Didn't happen. I don't think that that's maybe gone anywhere because we're still sort of linked to this left winger position. It's still being brought up even after Ruben was sacked. So let's just say you get 3 central midfielders and a winger. There's probably, maybe, possibly, if you're gonna do one more, there's only one more. So you pick center back, left back, or right back. It's only gonna be one of them. Also, why Van de Ven? Why Van de Ven? I mean, I don't know why you're asking me why Van de Ven. Van de Ven, he's rated by numerous clubs. And why Van de Ven? Because Spurs might get relegated, and if Spurs get relegated, there could be a deal to be done where you could get a player like Van de Ven much cheaper. I don't know if it's gonna happen. We're United, we get named to everything, and right now it's sort of an easy situation to be like, well, Spurs are in relegation, and if they get relegated, they're gonna probably lose a bunch of their best players. Because that's usually what happens, what everybody expects, and it's also just quite easy to just throw United's name into literally every update because it's not like Sir Jim Ratcliffe or Omar or Jason Wilcox is going to come out tomorrow and say, yeah, the Van de Ven stories are rubbish. We're not good. They don't do that. So we'll see. But we have been linked with Marco Sensi. The difference is Marco Sensi will be on a free, which makes a lot more sense because, again, like I just explained, if we could only do deals for so many players with the amount of money, well, if you could get a center-back on a free that's played for Bournemouth and has some Premier League experience, then that's quite plausible. So just because he scored a banger versus Arsenal and City doesn't mean he's top class. I don't think anybody said that, though. Do you really think the owner is going to buy like 7 players in the summer? No. No, I don't. I think 4 to 5. Last summer, I said that we needed 5 to give Ruben the most help possible and to sort of give a nice little transformation to the team. And we didn't even get 5. We got 4. So, maybe, I think we'll get 4. Maybe we could get 5 because maybe we have a little bit of a boost in terms of the Champions League money, and stuff like that. So maybe there'll be a little bit of extra room for a 5th compared to last summer where we finished 15th. We lost the Europa League. We weren't in Europe, and the finances became much tighter, much stricter, and had to be a lot more cautious in the spending. But yeah, I mean, if we do 4, I won't be surprised. If we do 5, I'll be a little bit happier. But if it was up to me, I'd be going for 5 or 6. But I don't expect him to go over 5. I think 5 is a push. 4 probably seems like, 4 to me is the minimum. Listen, well, with Dorgu, the thing is also he was starting to play good there. He was enjoying his time there, and he got injured. So we haven't seen enough of him there. We need to see more of him. And also, United have to make up their mind what they're actually going to do with him. If we sign a winger, I don't think we'll see Dorgu playing in that position. I think we'll see Dorgu going back into, left back. If we don't sign a winger, then maybe there's potentially that, that's another thing from the club. I mean, they have to decide if they want to transform Dorgu into a winger and use him as a winger, well, then we have our winger. We don't need one. And then maybe they could buy a left back if they so choose to instead and do the opposite. So, I always said with Dorgu, like, he played a couple games there. He looked good and he looked like he was enjoying himself, but it wasn't enough of a sample size. He needs to play way more for a longer period of time before we can actually say that, yeah, he can play winger. And that should be his new position. But obviously, he got robbed of that opportunity because he got his injury. So, just start Ugarte. He's decent. He's not decent, bro. He's not decent. He's not decent at all. Do you want us to lose? Are you even a United fan? And you're saying to just start Ugarte, he's decent. Ugarte is not decent, bro. Ugarte is... Here's the problem with Ugarte. Ugarte is extremely limited for what we need. Ugarte is not versatile at all in any way. Ugarte would work if we played one center defensive mid and two midfielders in front of him. We don't play that way, and we're not going to play that way. So therefore, Ugarte is not useful to us. When Ugarte plays in the midfield, every time we take out Casemiro and Ugarte comes in, we look 3 times worse, and we suffer because of it. When Kobe Mainoo wasn't available, and Ugarte had to come in and play with Casemiro, how did that game go for us? Not well. He's not the guy that you need in that position. He cannot pass the ball forward. And I used to play midfield. I'm not a professional, but the one thing that I was taught from a very young age, you play in the center midfield, you have to be the guy that gets on the ball and makes shit happen. And he is afraid of that responsibility. The last time I watched him play, I forgot what match it was. It was like 3 matches ago. He had the ball, and he's jogging next to Bruno Fernandes, and he's literally begging Bruno to take the ball from him. Because he doesn't want the ball on his feet. Because he knows he's going to lose it. Because he knows he can't do anything progressive with the ball. So, let me just pass the ball 2 feet to Bruno Fernandes, who's right next to me, to get the ball out of my feet quickly, because I don't want it. I don't want this responsibility. It's a fucking hot potato. Get rid of it, and I'll give it to Bruno. Like, Bruno, it's your responsibility. Look at the other players, though. Cass doesn't do that. Mainoo doesn't do that. And I would go even as far as when Leach is playing centre-back, the fact that Leach is 3 times a better passer than Manuel Ugarte is an issue. Because Leach is our centre-back. And Ugarte is a central midfielder. And he cannot pass the ball the way that Leach passes the ball. So, Ugarte is not good enough. Ugarte needs to be sold. Ugarte was bought for Erik ten Hag's system. We're 2 managers, about to be 3 managers. Well, 2 managers down the line. So, we've seen enough of him. He's not what we need. He doesn't fit us. And he's got to go. So, we do not start Ugarte. Ugarte needs to be sold, is what needs to happen. The best we'll get in the summer is about max 5 players. Well, I agree. I don't really see us doing more than that. Considering the fees, considering there's a World Cup as well. I mean, you have to take that into factor. Okay, there's a World Cup, which is going to make the summer transfer window a lot shorter for some players, at least. And it's going to make everything a lot more tight because there's a lot less room for all the preparation You know, World Cup ends and preseason starts shortly after that. And then shortly after that, the season starts. And the season starts while the window's still open. So this one's going to probably be a messy one. You know, it's probably going to be a messy one. And we don't move the fastest still. You know. Because we were at 3-4-3 also, I think we failed Amorim badly. Personally, I think he succeeds. Well, I do think that yes, I do think that we didn't do what we needed to do under Amorim, but you know, he had his own faults, okay? But I think in terms of, and I always said this, but when you do the change that they decided to do, that change takes time and money. And if you're not going to afford the guy the time or the money, then there was no reason to get that guy in the first place, and there was no reason to make that change in the first place. So that always goes, for me, whatever, these people hate Ruben. I didn't even care about Ruben. He's not here anymore. But to me, it just goes back to INEOS, because it was like, well, you made such a big decision, and you either didn't have the money or you weren't going to give the time to back it fully. And some people will say, well, we bought him these players, but it's like, dude, it's not that. Like, you're changing a whole system. You're changing a whole philosophy. You need to spend a shit ton of money. And I always bring this up, and people just tend to ignore it because it doesn't fit their narrative. But, like, when Ruben, the summer before, when he was interviewed by Liverpool and also West Ham, but specifically Liverpool, whoever the director of football is, or whatever, the guy that's in charge of Liverpool over there, he literally came out and said that, you know, we didn't go with Ruben because the change that was going to make was going to cost a lot more money, and it was going to take a lot more time. So we didn't go with it. We could have went with it if we wanted to, but we figured that wasn't the best solution, when we can just get somebody else that fits a lot more closely to what we have, which will cost us a lot less money and should transition a lot more quickly. Which we then, you know, like a couple months after that, we literally went and did what they chose not to do. So, Renosa says, it's funny. We clearly need, as stated, 3 center mids, 1 fullback, 1 left wing, 1 center back, maybe 1 striker. But the owners screwed January, so when you state what's needed, it makes you sound crazy diluted, but it's INEOS' fault. Well, that is true as well. You know, that is true as well. And this is why I made such a big deal about January when we were in January, and I always make a big deal because it's not necessarily about specifically just January itself. It's not about like, get us a player that's going to transform the rest of our season. Obviously, you would like to get a target that's going to add something to the squad, but the biggest points that we were saying you know, even before we got to January, we were talking about in December, and we were like, even if you do a transfer in any position with some sort of type of potential, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to break the bank, you don't have to break the world record transfer fee for the player. Nobody's really asking for that. If you went and you signed one of the players that Reynoso, in one of the positions that Reynoso listed out for us, that's one less player that we have to talk about for the summer. That's one less player that we have to, one position that we have to fill out. But when you don't do any business in January, and you get to the end of the season, and you start saying, we need 3 center mids, we need a fullback, we need a left wing, we need a center back, and maybe we need a striker, you do sound like you do sound like a madman, because you know United aren't going to be able to do all of that, and you know it's like unrealistic that's going to happen. But when you genuinely assess the squad, when you genuinely look at the team, I'm not saying that anybody is wrong when they say that. Nobody is wrong when they say, like, we need all these players. It's just a matter of the fact that we're not going to be able to do it. Because genuinely, we need to upgrade all over the place. You know, we want to go back to winning Premier Leagues. We want to win ultimately Champions League at some point. We'd like to continue to win FA Cups and Carabao Cups. We'd like to make up some more ground on our rivals and be a lot more stronger and competitive and consistent. And it's like, well, we ignore January because we're run like a business and the Glazers are still here and they don't like business in the first quarter. Okay? And then we get to the summer and we're like, dude, we need we need 3 center mids, we need a fullback, we need a winger. And you just go, yeah, well, but fucked aren't we? Because we're not going to be able to do all that. We literally can't. And it won't happen. And it's always just like, we're constantly always playing catch up, and we never actually do catch up because we never actually make the effort enough to actually make up for shit, you know? It's like for me, like, sometimes like, I'll go to work out, and maybe I miss a workout that day, right? And usually what I do is the next day, I'll do 2 workouts in one because I can. And I'm like, all right, I'll make up for it for the day before. But there's been times where like I missed one workout and I was like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then the next day something came up and I was like, now I missed 2 workouts. And I'm like, well, I can't do 3 workouts in one day. So I was like, I'll do 2 workouts in one day and I'll do 2 workouts the next day. And it's just like, now I'm just like constantly trying to fucking catch up. And it's too much, it's overload, and like, you just can't. You just can't. And it's just like, well, I'll never do that again, because that's just a pain in the ass, and why do I want to deal with this? Like, I'm making double the work, I'm making it way harder for me. But he's not deluded, Dylan. He's not saying that we're getting 7 players, bro, or 6 players. He's saying that's what the squad genuinely needs. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I think you could ask most Manchester United fans. They'll give you they'll tell you, listen, if you could spend like 300, 400 million, how many players again? I'm sure most people will give you a list of 6, 7, 8 players. And that's because we genuinely need them. But there's a difference between what we need and what we're actually going to get. So Manosa's not telling you we're getting those guys. He's just saying we genuinely probably need those players. We genuinely probably need those transfers. We're not getting them, though. We all know we're not getting them. Diomande should be getting linked. Well, the thing about Diomande is he's going to cost 100 million, so... Omar says he says we need 7. Also, he said if people say what they actually needed, they say we're negative. Yes. I can do a better job than the owners and this board. Probably. I think maybe most of us can, but the only thing is that I think if and I'll say this, and this isn't a cop-out for them, but I will say this. I think if any United fan took over the club and looked at, and they laid out the full picture of the club in terms of financials and what they're looking at, I think Manchester United fans would have a heart attack. Because I think they would walk in there and realize that it's actually, it's worse. I think they would think they would realize that the picture is actually worse than what we actually know it to be. Because we don't have the full picture. Okay, they report their little earnings and their little, quarterly updates or whatever, and people do the math, but that's not even the full financial picture. We don't have access to that. Only the Glazers and INEOS have access to that. So, I mean, it could be either way. I mean, they could be lying about it, and maybe we would be surprised. But I actually think it's probably worse. It's probably worse than what we know. because they're never going to release that information because that's their business and it makes their business look bad. So they're not gonna tell us how bad it is. And I think when you walk in there and you look at it and you think that you're going to be able to do all these moves, and then they're like, yeah, if you go over this amount of money, the club is going to be fucked X, Y, and Z. And you're just like, oh, yeah, we're fucked. So Temesgen says, I liked VEN, Lorente Tonali, Joao Gomes, Jean Diamande, Anderson to United is better for next season. Please, INEOS, make plans. Tell you, we ain't getting that, guys. But we do have some updates on Elliot Anderson, okay? Couple hours ago, all right, Manchester City. Sky Sports Lyle said Manchester City are leading the race to sign Elliot Anderson with strong indications he's heading to the Etihad. All right. So pretty much same sort of update. And then we did get another update about Elliot Anderson 1 hour ago. So while we have been live by Fabrizio V. Romano. Okay, and it goes like this. I don't know what it says. I'm reading it for the first time live, so we'll react to it together. But Fabrizio Romano had this to say on his YouTube channel. He said, Manchester City are prepared to offer big money for Elliot Anderson and are currently leading the race. Manchester United remain interested and are keeping a close eye on the situation if City fail to complete the deal. Well, that's a shit update. Not by Fabrizio Romano, but just in general. I mean, what I will say is that's sort of a fucking disgrace. I will say because we're not being proactive. So what what are we doing? So what are we doing? Like, and this is where we start. This is where we start. With this board and INEOS and this incompetence and this bullshit. Because I have no problem if you try to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City and you actually put in a fight and, you know, try and get in there. And he chooses to go to City over you. But taking that bit that he said and said United remain interested and are keeping a close eye on the situation if City fail to complete the deal. So we're like, excuse my language, but like we're like a bunch of cocks. We're just, so what we're doing is, so what you're telling me, Fabrizio, is we're sitting in the corner. Okay, there's a girl over there that we like, okay, and she isn't taken by anybody yet, 100%. And instead of us trying to, you know, maneuver our way in there and make and get her to like us, we're just sitting in the corner watching her chat up the other guy, and just sitting there saying, well, I hope it doesn't work out. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll make my move. What? And this is the thing. Like, this is the thing. Like, this that's a fucking disgrace. I'm sorry, but it is. It's a disgrace. I can be okay with if we are pulling out all the shows, all the stops, you know, fucking ring his phone, his agent's phone 10 times a day, trying to get him over to the club, and we go neck to neck with them at the very end. They offer 80 million, we'll offer 80 million, whatever the fuck it takes. And at the end of the day, if he goes, I'm going to go to City over you, then it is what it is. And we move on, and I can live with that. But if we're just sitting there saying, wow, they're in pole position. I mean, well, listen, we're really interested in Elliot Anderson, but I mean, you know, hopefully City just can't get the deal done. And then, when they don't get the deal done, then we'll go for him. I mean, what are we doing then? What are we doing? Then just, if this is the case, and I'll trust Fabrizio on this, okay? And maybe, it's his English translation, all right? But I'll take it at face value for what it is. If this is what we're doing, if this is actually what's going on, where we're keeping a close eye on the situation to see if City failed to complete the deal, well then just forget Elliot Anderson. Forget the updates, forget everything. It's done. It's over, because they're not going to fail to complete the deal, and we're not going to get him then, and we're not seriously in there for him, are we? Because that's not serious by any means. Serious is what I just explained. Going toe-to-toe with them for it. Not sitting in the corner watching them saying, gosh, I hope she doesn't hook up with that guy, because I'd like to hook up with her, but, hopefully she doesn't. Hopefully she just rejects him. Hopefully she just rejects him so that I can go and make my move. I mean, what are we doing? So, I mean, I'm going to be quite honest, that update right now just made me like, I don't even want to cover fucking Elliot Anderson's story. For the remainder of what it is. Because that is just disgusting. It's disgusting. If that's how we're operating, this situation, then, everybody that said that it's all bullshit and it's all paper talk and, it's all PR or whatever it is, I mean, you guys were 100% right then. You were 100% right. I had a hope that maybe, they were, listen, he's our priority, that we were going to show some seriousness to it. But I mean, if we're just sitting there remaining interested and keeping a close eye, I mean, what the fuck are we doing? Essentially, we're not doing anything. Essentially, we're just sitting there and we're just like, yeah, hopefully City don't do the deal, and then we'll do the deal. And then everybody knows the reality. City will get the deal done, and then United will go, oh, INEOS will come out with their little updates. Oh, we tried. We tried. There was nothing we could do. And it was like, dude, you could have tried a lot. You could have tried a lot more. You didn't try enough. Yeah, so that's pissed me off. Cause that I can't deal with. That I can't deal with. I can't deal with that sort of bullshit. I mean, if he's our priority and you made him the priority and you're not gonna try to do everything to get him to the club, I mean, you guys are unserious and you're fucking clowns. Like, it's a joke. It's literally a joke. So, and I keep trying to give these guys chances, but they keep fucking just throwing pies in everybody's face. So, they have an opportunity where these clowns, these morons are they have an opportunity in front of them to prove to everybody that they aren't what people think of them. And yet they continue to take every opportunity that they have and just absolutely blow it. Absolutely blow it. So, we did have a couple updates, though. But let's talk about our manager to close up the show. Okay? We did have a couple updates by Michael Carrick and about Michael Carrick. Well, before I do that, though, I did have to say this update by Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic. And that was that the one update he gave us is that Mateus Fernandes at West Ham, Alex Scott at Bournemouth, and Joao Gomes at Wolves have also been monitored. Monitor FC. But then he also did say that Manchester United are targeting... Oh, well, I wish I read this update before, because this is what we were actually talking about earlier. But, better late than never, I guess. So, Laurie in The Athletic said Manchester United are targeting 4 key signings this summer, including an experienced striker and a left back, with Tyrell Malacia expected to leave and Luke Shaw needing more rotation due to increased midweek fixtures. However, some agents believe the squad may actually require further additions, potentially up to 3 more players than currently planned. Well, I do find that quite interesting because again, we're a little bit all over the place. Like, they've been saying that we're looking at 2 midfielders. I keep saying we need 3. A journalist or 2 mentioned that we may need to get 3 if Ugarte is sold, which is what I keep saying needs to happen. We've had a winger linked to us, and then you take this update and pile it in there, and it says 4 key signings. And the 4 key signings would be 2 midfielders, an experienced striker, and a left back. With then obviously them saying some agents believe the squad may actually require further additions. No. We know the squad requires further additions. There's no doubt about that. There's no discussion there. The squad definitely requires further additions. We're not going to be able to do it, or we're not going to do it. And potentially up to 3 more players, which would make 7, which is literally what we were just saying. We were just saying, like, in general, not on INEOS's expectations, but just in general, when you assess the squad, most people give a list of 6 to 7 players, which is what we were saying. So that's accurate, but we're not going to get 6 to 7 players, are we? So Hasib says, wait, left wing isn't a priority. I hate Wilcox if I ever find him. Listen, I don't know. I mean, we're all over the place. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you at this point. I don't have the answers, okay? Because I don't know. All we know, the priority is central midfield. And everything after central midfield is essentially up in the air. Because in reality, Hasib, yeah, we technically probably do need another striker. We only have 1. And Sesko is the only actual real one. Like, he's the only out-and-out number 9. You would technically have 2 of those in an actual squad. In a real squad with real depth, a serious squad, you would have 2 of those guys. We only have 1. So in a reality where we actually have the proper depth, okay, we would get another one. But we need players everywhere. So it's like kind of what I said before. We're only going to be able to do so much. We can't do everything. And ultimately, their job is to sit there and decide which positions we're going to get and which positions we're going to have to basically ignore for the time being and address later on. And, you know, we keep getting told all sorts of different things. So today, in today's update, 4 key signings, and one of them is an experienced striker, and the other one is a left back. Plus the 2 midfielders. So, you know, I don't know. This is why I was saying, like, we just gotta wait and see, because I think it's gonna be a bit similar to like last summer, in terms of that. They'll tell us we're going for these certain positions. Everybody knows we need to address the midfield, so the midfield's gonna get addressed for sure. It's, you know, it's a bit similar in that sense. Last summer, like, we know we needed 10s or a 10. We needed to address the attack. We're going to address the midfield. After we address the midfield, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a free-for-all right now, until we get some sort of a sense of direction. You know, because even last summer's window, we all were led to believe we're getting 110, a striker, a midfielder, and a wingback. And we ended up with 2 10s, a striker, and a goalkeeper. So I think obviously we'll address the midfield in some sort of way. I still think these guys, there's always a possibility that we don't get 3 center mids. Maybe they keep Ugarte, they buy 2, and they say that's your midfield and that's your depth. But I do fully expect 2 central midfielders of some sort, whether it's one CDM, a center mid, whatever, just 2 central players. And after the central players, then I think it's sort of up in the air. It might even be in the sense of just like whatever they could get is what they're going to do. Like, they'll just say, well, we need a striker, a winger, a left back, maybe a center back. They'll just look at the market and say, well, we could get a center back easy. The left wing is shot, and maybe we could get a left back or something like that, and that's who we'll end up with. I feel like the other positions they're just up in the air. They're up for grabs. It's sort of like a fucking raffle for us. Then it's not really nailed down. It's just like, yeah, there's a bunch of these other sort of positions that we need. We can't do all of them. And then we're also not 100% nailed down on we're definitely going to get that position. We're definitely going to get this position. It's more of just like, we'll get the midfielders and then we'll just sort of assess the market and see, what's available. And, whether it's a left back or a left winger or a center back, or whatever, or an experienced striker, that's who we'll end up getting. So these lots still can't focus on more than one deal at a time. Probably not. No. Sadiq says 2, 6, and 2, 8. Hasib says sell Xerxes for 40 million if they want a striker, and Buemo Cunha can also play up front. Left wing is the issue. 0 natural wingers except Ahmad in this team. Well, I do agree. The issue obviously is that they have to, I guess, agree on that, Hasib. Again, it's about decisions, ultimately. And I've said that a couple times as well. Like, I'm all for selling Xerxes. I think we should be selling Xerxes, and I would definitely be selling Xerxes. Now, there's a couple different decisions that you have to make, and you can either go left or you can go right. Well, typically, or more accurately, they could go left or they could go right. They can look at the squad and say, well, we don't necessarily have to get the second striker because, like you said, we can just rotate the way we've rotated already. If need be, we could use Cunha there maybe, or we could use Mbeumo and we'll go get another winger so it could help with that rotation. And so instead of a striker, you're getting a winger. But if they don't agree with that assessment and they say, no, we don't really want to do that rotation thing. We don't want that. We just want another striker. Well, then now the whole course of action is being changed. Now the whole plan is being changed because where once upon a time we were just going to get a winger, now we're going to get a second striker. Well, so that means we're taking a hit somewhere else. So if you're getting a second striker, does that mean no winger? If you're getting a second striker and you want to still get a winger, well then we're not getting a player somewhere else, aren't we? So this is the thing. It's not just about just going to get the players as well. It's about the planning of the situation. Like, and unfortunately, we don't know what they actually 100% think because as you could see by the stories we receive every day, it's all over the fucking place. So we don't even know. And maybe they don't even know. And maybe that's why the stories are all over the place. But we definitely don't know what they actually think. We have, here's the thing. It's not like Wilcox is going to come out and from his mouth, he's going to sort of lay out the plan for us. So we have no clue what they're actually necessarily planning to do. Just like how we didn't know last season that they intended to get 210s. We had absolutely no clue. They made that decision. They made that plan. They made the plan last summer that they were going to get 210s, a striker, and ignore the midfield. Where everybody was like, we need a midfielder. But they decided to go down the path of, no, we'll get 210s instead of 110. Okay? We'll ignore the midfield because we can survive without it. We'll make a makeshift midfielder out of Bruno. All right? Because there was no spot for Bruno in that formation. And Bruno had to play. So they were just like, well, we're going to have to take Bruno and drop him back. So we don't need a midfielder. So we'll go and buy 210s instead. We'll get a striker. And then, you know, they did the goalkeeper last minute because Onana started the season, whatever. He was injured and he was shit. And Binder was shit. And I think we probably wouldn't. I tell you this, I don't think we would have got something like if Binder came out in the first couple games and Binder looked good, they wouldn't have signed Sunday Lemons. So I don't know what they would have done. Either they wouldn't have signed anybody, or they would have, you know, tried to maybe they would have tried to sign Baleba or something. But yeah, like they just you know, the plan is not really a full plan, is it? It's not really a full plan. It's a plan that they probably try to tell you that it's a flexible one. It's open for, you know, so we can move around, which I guess fine, but it is also sort of a bit of a mess. And it also is seems a bit incompetent on certain levels. Like it's not really a master plan, you know? I wouldn't call it that. So I hope we don't follow the trajectory of Spurs without the lack of investment in our club. Well, we could very well do so if we don't invest properly into the club. That can definitely always happen. So, you know, all it takes is, you know, especially in our situation, all it takes is one bad window. All it takes is one bad window, and we're fucking derailed. All it takes is one window where, you know, we cheap out, we don't do enough, we don't get the calls correctly on the players, and we're fucking derailed because we're already behind and we're trying to catch up and we're trying to be consistent. And you have one bad window and everybody else sort of gets their shit on point. And not only didn't, you know, again, it's like if we don't move forward, even if we stand still, even if we stay at the same level, we end up going backwards because the people behind us, somebody will get better. The people in front of us, somebody at the minimum will get better. So even if we don't actually go necessarily backwards, we end up going backwards anyway. This is the machine of football. Because all these teams, everybody is going to spend money, and everybody is going to get new players in, and everybody's going to try and improve. If you don't do it good enough, you will drop down. So, like, basically, let's just say we have a summer where we sort of, let's just say we break even in terms of, like, quality. You know, it's, like, not an amazing summer. It's not like absolute dog shit. It's just like fairly average. That's probably not good enough because of the money that Arsenal will spend, the money that City will spend, the money that Liverpool will spend, the money that Villa will probably go and spend, the money that Chelsea, well, they might have a transfer ban, but you know, even the clubs behind us, like they'll spend and they'll get players in. And if their summer is better than ours, well, you know, we might have been this much better than them. Now maybe we're only this much better than them. And it's a big implication for next season. And when you go into next season, if you don't have a good season, now you're in a worse position. You go into the next summer, it's a lot harder to do better business. And you're probably at more of a chance of having another shitty summer window than you are at having a good window, and then you drop down again. And this is what's happened to Spurs over the course of time, okay? They didn't get here overnight. They got here because of what they did from the time that Pochettino was there and what they continued to do year after year after year after year until they've reached the point of where they've reached, because the quality in coach was going down, the quality in players that they got was going down. They capped themselves financially. They don't pay over a certain wage. They don't pay over a certain fee. You can't compete in a place where there are teams that they are willing to spend double to triple the amount of money to get double or triple the amount of quality you're getting. You're not going to be able to survive that. You will be killed. They spent last summer on Mbeumo. And did Sesko and Lemons in the end. Lemons missed first few games while Liverpool City would make multiple signings together. Do they realize we won't be playing just the league next year? Hopefully. Hopefully equals more injuries, so need more depth, especially in the midfield. Well, yes, that is the general argument, yes. I mean, at the very least, I hope they would know that. I mean, if they don't know that, I don't know what to say, man. We're just totally fucked, aren't we? So, my thing, you know what scares me, Hasib? You know what scares me? Is that they don't even really assess that. What they assess is, like, they're assessing, like, sort of the quality of the team. And because this is what scares me about these people, okay? When Ruben was still here, and everybody said this, and the fan base got split into two about how to deal with this situation. But basically, we were all saying the same thing at the core root of it, okay? Half of our fan base was like, we don't have the players to play the system. So people started saying the system is shit. But really, the whole confrontation started because everybody was like, we don't have the players to play the system. We don't have the players that make the system. It doesn't work. It doesn't operate beautifully. It doesn't operate efficiently. So half of us were like, go buy him the fucking players. The other half of us were like, change the fucking system because we don't have the players and we're not going to get the players. So change the system. And in the midst of all that, they were sitting there saying, we believe, I think it was specifically Sejim. Sejim was saying that he believes that this team was good enough to get Champions League football. Now, technically, he can go around and say he's right because Michael Carrick came in and we're in third place and we're pretty much in a position that we're going to get Champions League football, whether we're finishing third, fourth, or fifth. We seem pretty nailed on to do that, okay? So Jim can walk around and say, I was right, I know ball, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of luck and non-planning that went into that, okay? Carrick was not part of the plan. Sacking Ruben Amorim was not part of the plan. They weren't actually going to sack him. And actually, he was fucking wrong in that case, in that the way the manager was playing and the system we were playing, the team wasn't good enough. Or if they were, it was going to be very barely, but it was going to be a fucking struggle. But they took a chance on this. They took a chance on that. That we were going to get Champions League football. It was also one of the things why they were like, we don't need to sign anybody in January because the team's good enough. And this is what scares me, that they look at this squad and they go, yeah, it was just Ruben's system was shit or whatever. We got Carrick now and we play a different system, and that's fixed a lot of the problems. And so they sit here in the summer, or they sit here at the end of the season, and they go, yeah, you know what? The squad doesn't need that much improvement. It doesn't need that much improvement. I mean, like, let's just say we finish third. These guys will look at this and say, well, we finished, Sir Jim would be like, well, we finished third. We're right there. We only need to spend just a little bit more. We'll be champions. We'll be champions. And fucking, Wilcox will just be like, sucking them up, just glazing them. Yeah, you're right, Jim. You're right. We only need to spend a little bit. We're right there, boss. We're right there, boss. And Omar will just be sitting there, not saying anything, shaking his head. And so they assess the squad and they say, well, we don't need that much. We don't need to spend a shit ton because the squad is already good enough. We finished third. So we'll just go spend, a decent amount. We don't got to go crazy because we'll be fine. And then we go into next season. And then, at some point during the season, they'll realize that they're totally fucked because that wasn't accurate. And we needed more investment. And the squad wasn't that good because they didn't take into account the fact that we're going to have to go play 68 fucking matches in one season. And we're not playing once a week. And also, we're playing teams such as Bayern or Real Madrid or, insert whatever other top name, Barcelona, whatever. Like, how many games does the new format play? You got to play 8 in the beginning of the Champions League. Okay, 5 of those could be against massive teams. We could literally end up in a situation where we have to play Bayern, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whatever. I don't know if it could actually come out like that, but we might have to play some really tough, big teams. They might not be easy. You definitely get one team that's like small, for sure, 1 or 2. But some of the schedules that you've seen, there are teams that they play 4 or 5 games are against top teams. So those aren't going to be easy, and they're all one-off. And you don't get a home and away. So we might have to play Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Then we play Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Then we might have to go, depending on how the schedule is. What if we got to go play Liverpool 3 days later at Anfield? And then what if we have to play Arsenal a couple days later? But they, so they take this into account. I don't fucking know. Simon's here. Says, good evening to you. I wouldn't touch any Spurs players with a barge pole. I would send VEN to Liverpool or Chelsea. Amorim was not properly backed by our board. Sir Jim's should not be trusted. Well, I don't trust Sir Jim at all, so. The problem that I have with Sir Jim is that, like, you don't know, because everything is done behind closed doors, you don't know when this guy decides that he wants to start getting involved. Because I'll tell you this directly, like, make no mistake, if Sir Jim at any day, at any moment, if Sir Jim just decides that he wants something or he doesn't want something, he will call Omar, his CEO, and he will call Jason Wilcox into his office or whatever. They'll have a meeting, and Wilcox and Barada can fucking plead and beg with him all they want and be like, Sir Jim, but like we need to do this. And if Sir Jim just for whatever reason is like no, and tells them, I don't fucking care, I said no, that's it. They cannot, it's not like they can go around his back or over his head, because they'll lose their job. And he is the owner. So, but the problem is, that shouldn't necessarily really be happening. But it does happen in sports sometimes with certain owners. Okay? And I know this because I'm a New York Knicks fan. And our owner for the New York Knicks, he's notorious for this shit. All right? He's notoriously got involved in situations where it is untraditional for an owner of a basketball team to get involved in. And he's meddled and he's fucked up a ton of shit multiple times. And Sajim strikes me as a guy that is very similar. For the most part, I feel like he tries to stay out. But at some point, he does get involved. And his knowledge is not a knowledge that I trust at all for football. So, when he starts meddling and starts touching shit and starts putting down authority and basically is telling Omar and Jason Wilcox to shut the fuck up, he doesn't care, that's when I think we have issues. Which he's probably already done at least once or twice, and he'll definitely do it again. 100%. There's a rumor going that Amorim might go to Crystal Palace. Well, we'll see. Not how it works, though. The teams around us, above and behind, will spend more. City is taking our target. Yeah. I hope we play Madrid. Haven't played a proper game against them in ages. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't, I'm not bothered by it. I welcome the big teams. I want to play the big matches. That's where we should be. I don't care, if we lose, we lose. It is what it is. I'm not one of these people. I'm not trying to get a free ride into the fucking, round of 16 or whatever it is. I'm not one of these people. There are people out there. Typically they're Arsenal fans because they're a small club, okay, with a small club mentality. They want to it's almost like cheating. It's not cheating, but it feels like cheating. They're like, give us the easiest teams. I want to get to the final. I want to win the cup. And then they do get the easy ride. And then at the end, they got to verse the big boss, and they're not ready for the big boss because they basically had like a free fucking ride. Okay. They're on like cruise control. And then the big boss comes and smashes their fucking bus. And, they drive out of there on two wheels. I don't want that shit. I want us to play the biggest teams and the biggest occasion. Bring them on. I want it as hard as fucking possible. I don't want us to cruise through shit. Because when you cruise through shit, it papers over the cracks as well. We don't need to be papering over the cracks. We need to be fucking told exactly where we are and exactly how good we are. And you only know that by playing the very best and competing against the very best. So, when they do the Champions League draw, I'm not going to be sitting there and saying, please give us the 4 worst teams possible in the entire table because, it'll guarantee us a round of 16 because I just want to see United in the round of 16. No. Give us a competitive one, and I want us to earn it. I want us to earn it. And if we don't earn it, then that's what we deserve, and we got to go do more if that's what, we want to achieve. We have 2 tricky matches, Brentford and Brighton. We can be stung by bees or get attacked by seagulls, namely Welbeck. Well, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried as of right now. I mean, they could be tricky. I mean, listen, Brighton just clattered Chelsea 3-0. So, they'll be sort of riding a high. But I'm not too worried. I believe in Carrick and the lads. They've done a good job since he's gotten here. I think they've proved that they can get over the line. So, I'm not too worried about them. We obviously play Brentford on Monday, and we are at Old Trafford, so that should be a positive, a plus for us at the very least. And then after that, was it? Well, you said Brighton. We got to play. Where the fuck did we play Brighton? When are we playing Brighton? Brighton is the last game of the season, my friend. You skipped. We got to play Liverpool first, and we got to play Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. I think Sunderland at the Stadium of Light is a more tricky game. Because we're away, and yeah, we gotta play the Pool. Hopefully, we do the double over them this season. That would be great. And at Old Trafford, Michael Carrick come back to verse the Scousers. That would be good. That would be good stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Let's build our team first and sign some key players. Well, that's what we need to do. So that is the hope that that's what we do. But with these people here in charge, you just never know. You just never know what we're actually going to get. Could be shit, could be all right, could be great. A lot of people don't feel like it can be great because they don't really like them or trust them, which I don't really necessarily blame them. But my whole thing is there's always the opportunity is there. So, I hope they take it. That's really where I'm at. Like, there is an opportunity there to do something great. I hope they take it. I guess the fact that I have to hope that they take it means that I don't really have the utmost confidence that they will. But, for me, at least, we have the opportunity to do such a thing. It's better than not having the opportunity at all. But, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I think Dorgu could be back for our last 4 games, but 10 to 15 minute cameos. Well, we did have an update about Dorgu, so I'll tell you on that assessment, because I had my own assessment about that. So once I find, because I'm pretty sure Michael Carrick had something to say about Patrick Dorgu. So when I find it, I will tell you. I don't know where it went or where it is. Anybody got score predictions for Monday? Anybody got score predictions for Monday? What you think? What you think's gonna happen? Put them in the chat while I search for this update on Dorgu, so that you guys stay entertained and don't leave me. So everybody gets bored quick, and then they leave me. Why do you guys leave me? Where is the update on Dorgu? I literally saw it before. I don't know where it is. Okay, here you go. So it's not the one that I was looking for specifically. It was something like, I'll just paraphrase it because I'm not going to be able to find it. But Michael Carrick basically said something along the lines of, Dorgu's doing good progress to make it back. But he's not back to team training yet. But he said that he was like sort of close or something like that. Okay. Which I read that as, I was sort of counting down the days, and I was like, maybe he'll make it back for the last 2 or 3 matches. Simon says last 4 games. And I originally thought when I read that quote from Carrick that I was like, maybe he'll make it back for like the last 2 or 3 games, maybe. I was like, we'll probably see him again. I was like, I just don't know how many matches are going to be left in the season. But we did get this update from Sully Talks and United District. I don't know if it was before or after Carrick made those quotes, but they said Patrick Dorgu is targeting a return to action for Manchester United's game against Liverpool on May the 3rd. And if that is the case, then that would be, like Simon said, it would be our last 4 games. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So he would be back for 4 matches. Obviously, when he comes back, like Simon mentioned, he's not going to be playing a whole lot. He'll probably get 10 to 15-minute cameos, and maybe on the last day of the season, the last match of the season, he'll probably get a few more minutes than that, because that's about, if he returns for Liverpool on the 3rd, it's another 3 weeks to the end of the season. So you would think he would manage to get more minutes by that time. So we winning against Brentford, and then Bruno would just be chasing his record. I love that guy. Bruno's the GOAT. He's our guy, man. Yeah, I mean, mathematically, because I don't even know really. Usually they do the math for me, which makes it all nice, so I don't have to do this. But mathematically, how many more points do we definitely 100% need to mathematically secure Champions League? So that, like, basically, if we lose, let's just say, like, we lose all the remaining games, like, we automatically can't go lower than 5th. Like, what is that? So we're on 58, and Brighton are on 50. And there is 5 matches left, so there's 15 points. So what do we need? Like 2 wins or something like that? We need like 6 points out of the 15, I would assume. Well, I guess it depends what Brighton does as well, and we have to play Brighton on the last day of the season. Last match of the season? I don't know. Just how much is Van de Ven actually worth, and is he worth going for? Well, Spurs would probably want 100 million for him, but if they get relegated, they're not going to get anywhere near 100 million. And I think if he's available for I think if Van de Ven is available for, I don't know, like 60 million or something, I think there'll be a shit ton of teams interested in going for him. I mean, on transfer market here, it says he's worth 65 million euros, but he's a player that Tottenham, put it this way, he's a player that Tottenham doesn't want to lose. They want to keep him, and like, if they were to stay in the Prem and somebody wanted to buy him, considering the factors of they don't want to sell him and they don't want to lose him, you would probably have to put in a bid somewhere in the region of around 100 million to possibly get him. So is he actually worth 100 million? No, but that's probably what it would take. If you really wanted him and you really wanted to buy him, and Tottenham are stay in the Premier League, they don't want to sell him, you would probably have to pay that much money. So if they get relegated though, and he leaves, like many people assume would happen, along with some other players, they're not going to be able to demand 100 or 80 million. So maybe it'd be closer to his true market value, I would say. Love Dorgu, but he isn't actually Gareth Bale. We need a winger still. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for Dorgu, okay? I still think it's a bit too early. I'm not going to say that he, like, I think anybody that says, like, he could be like Bale, I think you're crazy to say that after, like, 3 matches. I also don't think it's necessarily 100% fair to say that he can't be a very good winger, because he played good when he played there, but we just haven't seen him play enough. So, again, that's something that, our hierarchy, Wilcox, etc., squad planning, I guess, with Michael Carrick as well, like, they need to make a decision on that, what is the plan for Dorgu? Are we going to use him as a winger? Do we like him? Do we want to try and continue to develop him as a winger and use him as one? Or was that just some temporary shit we did because we don't have a winger And, so whatever it is, but make the decision on it. So, and then, like, let's move forward. Because I'm okay with seeing him play there some more so that we could see how actually good he is there so that we can actually make, like, a final call on it. Because I don't think he's played there enough. He didn't play there enough. He didn't play there long enough. He didn't verse, a bunch of opponents enough. Like, for example, I linken it a little bit to the Bruno Fernandes sort of thing, okay? There was once upon a time, like, Bruno always played 10, and then every once in a while, like, Bruno ended up in the central midfield, like in 8, okay? And sometimes he'd play really good, and we'd have a really good match, and we'd leave the match, and people would be like, you know what? I really like Bruno playing in that deeper position. Maybe we should play him there more often. And then, every once in a while, he'd go back and maybe it wouldn't be that great. But then he'd come back around and he'd play great again in that position. So there was always this, like, we should try to play Bruno there. I think Bruno would play better there. I think it would work better for the team, blah, 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 blah. Well, when Ruben did the change, we got that experience on a full-time basis. He played only there, and he played there every match, and always. And after we watched that constantly on a week-to-week basis versus multiple different oppositions, we all came to the conclusion, we're like, yeah, we don't like him there. We want him back at 10. He's way better at 10. His position is 10. He needs to go back to being 10. And I think the same thing is similar to, like, for Dorgu, like, in a similar sense. Like, we seen him play left back. He wasn't having the great time there. Left back, left wing back, whatever. He came into, like, the winger position. He played on the right. That one match, he was brilliant. Then he played on the left. He scored a couple bangers. But, it was only like 3-4 matches. He got injured, and that was it. 3-4 matches is not enough to assess the player. So, before I say that he can't play that position, or before I say that he's fucking Gareth Bale, he needs to play, if we're going to do that, we got to see him play there a lot more. And then we can just, after, like, a certain amount of matches, we'll all know. He's either good enough or he ain't good enough. He either should play there or he shouldn't play there. And then that's it. And we move on. But ultimately, that's their job because they're in charge of him and his development and his growth. And they're the one planning for the squad. So they need to make a decision. Was that a temporary thing they did because we don't have a winger? And while he may have played good there for like 2-3 games, they just prefer him to go left back. I mean, they are the fucking experts. They are the football experts. They are in the positions of one of the most coveted jobs. Like, it's your job to make the call and assess the situation and assess the player, his ability, his talent, and then make a call on it. So, we should have Maguire back. No, Maguire is back. So, at the very least, thankfully. 2-1 United. I apologize about the tissue, but I'm still a bit sick, so like man cheating City. What does Van offer except poor pace, poor positioning as well, back-to-back relegation battles he has now been in now? Well, here's the thing, Hazib. I don't really blame Van de Ven. I don't do this. I don't tend to do this for players because it goes both ways. So I won't blame Van de Ven for being in back-to-back relegation battles, just as I don't credit players for, like, when they go to win the Ballon d'Or and they're like, oh, but he won a World Cup. And I'm like, oh, really? So he won the World Cup by him fucking self. That individual player, he won the whole World Cup by himself. Now, unless you're like Ronaldo, okay, or Messi, when you're playing in those Champions League games and your team is down like 2-1 and you're playing away from home and you grab the ball and you score a fucking hat-trick and you literally carry your team on the back and you win the game and it's literally only you, okay? But they don't generally normally do that, okay? So I don't count that either. Like, I don't take that into account. Like, these people, they say, like, oh, but he won the World Cup and he won the Champions League. And I'm like, oh yeah. So he did everything himself by himself. He didn't have another 10 fucking players plus the bench playing with him. They didn't score goals. They didn't give him assists. They didn't. So I'm not going to blame Van de Ven for being in a relegation battle because it's a team sport. He has 10 other players with him on the pitch. Van de Ven can play out of his skull. He's not going to save Tottenham from being in a relegation battle because he's one centre-back. There's just, there's the midfielders, the forwards, the other defenders next to him. If they're all shit, there's nothing he's going to do. There's nothing he's going to do. And most likely also, I mean, if you got 10 other guys around you and 9 of them are shit, I mean, it's very hard to be it's very hard to not get sucked down into the shit with them. So I don't really like take that into account. But I mean, I don't know. Like, listen, people say he has poor positioning, but when he was playing really good, nobody said he had poor positioning. I don't know. It comes and goes. I think he's a decently good defender. I would take him. He has good pace. I think the pace is a big thing. In the centre-back position, I think it's very unique, and I think it helps a lot. And he's decently good in the air as well, so I don't think he's horrible. And I wouldn't mind it. But I don't even think it's really going to happen anyway, so I don't think it's going to happen. I think Spurs will get relegated, but I just don't see United. I don't see United spending 50-60 million on a center back because I don't think we'll be able to do such a thing. So, we're linked to Marco Sensi. Marco Sensi, number one, his market value is 22 million euros, and number two, he's free. So he's available and free. So if we're gonna get a center back, it's probably gonna be somebody like that. Like, it's not gonna be somebody that's gonna cost a good amount of money. So Hasib says 2-0. Versus Brentford. Yeah. Yeah. I could see a 1-0 maybe. For us. I would love to see City play before Arsenal and win, and then Arsenal lose the game. Listen, Arsenal lost the league. So it's over for Arsenal. It's over for them. It's over for them because if there's one team that's gonna crack under the pressure, okay, and they're by goal difference, they're in second now. So if there's one team that's gonna bottle a game that they should win, it's gonna be Arsenal. So I mean, they've bottled it. They've bottled it. I think the fact that City have gotten to where they've gotten and they're not even in their best period, while having Pep Guardiola, I don't think that they'll slip up. We haven't seen such a thing happen yet, and I don't think we will. So I don't think Arsenal are going to save their season. I think Arsenal, the fact that they lost, because for me, Arsenal had to beat Manchester City. They didn't beat Manchester City. This season was over. The league is done. Your one job, okay? For me, that was the title decider. You don't beat City in that match. It's over. And now they're sitting here and they're asking all the opposition for help, and I don't think they're going to find any help because I don't think that the opposition is going to be able to do anything. I think City is going to beat all of these fucking teams. And I think Arsenal will probably, in one of the matches remaining, I think Arsenal will draw a match and they will drop 2 points. So I don't even think they'll finish level on points and win by goal difference. I think Arsenal will draw an upcoming match, one of them. They'll drop 2 points. City won't, and that's it. And the Champions League, they're getting kicked out because I don't think they'll beat Atletico Madrid. They're struggling to score. Atletico Madrid are, you know, kings of defense, but they've been scoring goals. So, it's their Atletico Madrid team is a little bit different than of Atletico Madrid teams of past, because Atletico Madrid teams of past, they were super defensive, super boring, because they tried to score one goal and defend the fucking thing. They're not even doing that. They're defending, and they're really good at defending, but they're scoring goals. They're scoring, 2-3 goals. And Arsenal can't score. So I think they won't even get past Atletico. If they do get past Atletico, I keep saying, for me, PSG are going to win it again, and they're going to go back to the final again. And I think if Arsenal get to the final, they're not beating PSG in the final. So they're not winning anything this season. So tell them to join the club. They did all that time talking shit the whole season. To us and to the others, only to literally finish exactly in the same boat as the rest of us. So welcome to the club. Welbeck is the player we should worry about when we play Brighton. We'll worry about him when we get there, I guess. We need to spend wisely. Some expensive players have turned out to be right lemons. Well, yeah. Just seen Cunha say Carrick wants a winger who holds with and put Dorgu there, but he told him he can do it. Cunha, for me, still a central player. That's where he is best at. That's the Bruno replacement when he leaves. I don't know, though. Maybe. It would be quite different to Bruno, though. So, I don't know. Might take some adjustment. I don't know. I'm so used to Bruno playing there the way he plays that, Cunha going in there didn't be quite different. I mean, maybe he could do the job, but I don't know, how effective it'll really be. Putting Cunha in there instead of Bruno. After Baleba's blistering performance against Chelsea, would you still sign him, or does he have his hot and cold moment? I would still take him. I always said I would still take him. I just think that, um I'm not paying 100 million for him, but listen, we saw him have a really good season. He's had not so good season, but he's a young guy. He's 21. I think there's potential there, and I think he could work through that. And maybe he's had some other factors. The fact that maybe he didn't want to stay at Brighton. Maybe that's not really an excuse, but I'm not really put off by him. The fee would determine the signing. I'm not against signing him, but obviously, if we sign him for like 85 million, I don't think that's a good move. But if you sign him for like 60, guy at 21, 22 years of age, I'd be all right with that. I think it's a chance that you could take on a guy that's 22 or 21. I think you could take a chance for him for like 60 mil. I don't see a problem with that necessarily. And see how it goes. And we may end up signing him after anyway. So, because that update from Fabrizio and Elliot Anderson, that really wasn't a positive one. So we're just sitting here waiting and hoping that City don't do a deal for Elliot Anderson. Well, then we ain't getting fucking Elliot Anderson. So just cross him off the board. And then I don't know, Baleba just he's the guy there. Besides battling with Brighton for the transfer fee, he definitely wants to come to us, and there isn't really too much other significant interest in him. So it would be almost a quite straightforward deal to do as well. I think Dorgu did well at left back. You are being harsh. No. No. I'm not being harsh. I'm actually being nice, man. Bro, I go. I mean, listen, it's social media, so whatever. But like, dude, I remember if you go back to like October, November, and you look up the tweets from fucking all United accounts, big, small. Type in Dorgu. I don't know if you're on X, but if you are, go to the biggest United account you can find. Go to a couple of them. Type in Dorgu. Look at their tweets from October, November. They were fucking cooking that guy. They were saying he's fucking shit. He's not a United player. He can't fucking stay here. He's gotta go. I'm being nice. In that I'm not even saying that about him. I just said he was struggling. Okay, they were ready to kill him. All right, and he was struggling. Like he wasn't confident. Remember the whole thing with Ruben, and he came out and he's like, they could smell the anxiety off of him or the fear, whatever the fuck he said. Because that's how bad he was playing. He was playing scared. And defensively, he wasn't that great either. So, yeah. But he went into that winger spot and he looked like life was the best thing ever. So he fully enjoyed that. And I don't know, it seemed like he had more freedom and he just felt more naturally there. I don't know what it was. So maybe it was just, Ruben was gone and Carrick was there and, I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with it as well. So, I mean, we'll see when the guy comes back. Hopefully we'll see him in the last couple of matches and, we'll see exactly what's going to happen. Go back to left back, go back to left wing. I don't care really where he actually plays. I just want him to play good. And I was standing by his side because I was like, listen, he's only 21. And, he's now that we passed January, he's just here for over a year and, what are we for? About 5 months. So a year and a half almost. So I was like, I'm not ready to kill the guy yet. At the time he wasn't even here for a year because we signed him in January. So, yeah, let's see. I hope he does well when he comes back. What a great few days. Leicester, Burnley, and Wolves relegated. Chelsea manager sacked. Oh yeah, I forgot about Ross Senior. Coventry go up as champions. Lincoln going into the championship as champions. I wonder what's next. What's next? Spurs getting relegated. That's what's next, my friend. Coming soon to a TV near you. Any Spurs players can go to Liverpool, Chelsea when they get a new manager or go abroad. A song for Arsenal. We're on the road to nowhere. A song for Spurs. Down, down. Arsenal have had more bottles than a drunk's cupboard. Newborn baby. Chelsea should be sponsored by Virgin because they can't score. Can't have City win again. If you're from Manchester, got to see these lot at work, and I'm tired. Well, that I understand. Unfortunately, you live in the only place that they actually exist. So, or that you have to actually take serious, That's unfortunate for you. Because everywhere else in the world, they're all plastic. So, if I see them walking around anywhere in America, 110% plastic. I see them walking around in any other place besides, I did meet one time. He's English and he was from Manchester. And I asked him, I'm like, you United supporting? And he's like, no, City. And this was like a few years ago. This was like 6 years ago. And I told him, I was like, listen, I'll respect you. I was like, you were born and you grew up there, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, all right, so you're an actual City fan. He's like, yeah, of course. And I was like, all right. I was like, I respect you. I was like, if you weren't from there and you told me you're a City fan, I was like, I wouldn't respect you at all. And he started laughing. He knew why. He knew exactly why. And I was just like, yeah, bro. I was like, dude, there's people here, okay, that they just started watching the sport. I was like, bro, I was like, you didn't even grow up. I was like, you didn't play the sport. You didn't even grow up watching it. I was like, and then you pull up outside with a Manchester City jersey on. Like, bro, get away from me. Like, you're a bot, bro. Like, you're not real. Like, you are fake, my friend. You were fake as fuck. I'm like, dude, you could have picked any team. You picked them because they won. And you didn't even know who they were. You didn't even know what they were, like, probably 10 years before. You had absolutely no fucking clue. They probably still don't. So, yeah. But listen, unfortunately, there's nothing we could do about it. I mean, it's either City win it or Arsenal win it. Either one is not good. I mean, it's never good. Unless we're winning it, it's not good. You know what I mean? If City win it or Arsenal win it or Liverpool win it or Chelsea win it, it's not good. So it's all shit. City won the league and the FA Cup, then add Anderson to the list of players when Silva goes. Well, there was one small little update somewhere that this was causing a bit of a stir because apparently City are looking or potentially might go for Enzo Fernandez. Now, I don't really buy that, but it caused a bit of a stir because people are trying to do 1 + 1 = 11. And, they were saying like, oh, well, if City go for Enzo Fernandez, then they're not going to get Elliot Anderson. And I'm just like, in fucking what world? And I'm like, in what math do you do math like that? I mean, for me, I would just look at it and be like, why is it that if they sign Enzo, they're not going to get Elliot Anderson? Why wouldn't it be they sign Enzo and get Elliot Anderson? Like, you do understand who you're talking about, right? Like, they have fucking all this money. Why would the most likely scenario be, well, they sign Enzo, they're not going to get Elliot Anderson? How about they sign Enzo and they sign Elliot Anderson and they hold 2 middle fingers up to everybody and they say, haha, look at us. You know? So I wasn't buying that. When I saw that, like, they were like, oh, like, City might be interested in Enzo, so it might open up something for United on Elliot Anderson. I'm just like, no. Like, they will probably, if anything, right here, look, this came from Laurie Whitwell, saying Manchester City looking at Enzo Fernandez, possible implications for Manchester United's pursuit of Elliot Anderson. And I was just like, but why? They can sign Enzo and Elliot Anderson, and they can tell whoever they have in their team to go fuck off. If they're so pleased. They've done it before, they'll do it again. And they can literally sign both players if they want. No, but yeah, Romero is a shithead. See, Romero is a guy that I don't rate because he is a... They're doing the same to Euro now. Some idiots in this fan base. Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, listen, but like, I don't know. Like, see, with Euro, like, he's a young guy. So it's like, I can understand if he played good at one point and now he plays like kind of like shit. I almost expect that. But on the turnaround, I expect at some point for him to figure it out and get better. But like, I don't know. I never feel that way about guys that are like that age. He's 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm like, dude, number one, where did we get them from and where were they playing? And when they come, they might play good. I don't expect them that they're going to be able to hold that form. They're not going to be fucking world class from the time they step onto the pitch until they retire for us. It's just never going to happen. But there's like different levels. Like if you go get like, if we're getting a 25, 26-year-old, like Cunha or Embuemo, for example, if we get like a 25, 26-year-old, they play in the Prem, they're like established. And we bring them in and they do sort of what's happened to Euro. I can understand the backlash because it's like, bro, you're supposed to be better than this already. You're supposed to be giving us more. Like, what's going on? But for somebody like Lenny, or even Dorgu, to that extent, like these are two guys. We bought them from outside of the league. We bought them from another league. They're young guys, and like they're probably going to play good, and then they're gonna play like shit, and then hopefully they come back to being good. But it's a bit difficult. It's a little bit more difficult. Even for the regular guys that we get through our academy, it's not easy. Like when they come into the team, they might have a couple good performances, then they fucking, they play like shit. Okay? But these guys, like, they've been living in England. A lot of people don't take that into factor. They just like, I don't know, it's like robotish, or like, it's like plug and play. It's like, oh, you're a man, like, we'll just pick you up from one country and one league and we'll put you in this one. You should just play fucking fantastic like every week. And it's like, no, what? Like, listen, there's other shit. Like, it's like a 19, 20-year-old kid. He's just left like his whole entire family. He's not accustomed to the English football. He was playing a different football. It's at a different level. He's come to a place, Manchester United, is 3 times the size of fucking Lecce, or 4 times or 5 times the size of Lecce. And it's, 5 times the size of Lille. Okay? The Premier League is like 3 times the size of league that the Premier League is. And they're living in a different country with a different culture. It's a lot to fucking balance, man. At that age. Like, you gotta, when you're not on the pitch, hopefully your life outside of the football is going okay. If you're struggling to adjust, it's a fucking rough time, man. You might your performances on the pitch or training might not be going well. And then, you're having a rough time outside of the pitch. Like, you're not comfortable at home, or you don't like the area, or whatever the fuck it may be. And it's just like, all of a sudden, your whole life, like every aspect of your life, is just like quite shit, isn't it? And you're just like, but you have to figure out how to get through that, because ultimately, you're getting paid. Part of the process. So, we don't want any players older than 30. Our team will resemble Jurassic Park. Well, listen, I don't have a problem. It can't be too many, but if we have a couple, 1 or 2, experience is always good to have. So it's all right. It's all right if we have a couple. I mean, listen, we're going to have a squad of about 25, 28, whatever it is. But if you have like 25% of the squad, I think it's fine. You need a mix. You need a balance. Uncle, you be watching the NFL draft, or do you watch it? I'm new to it. It has been fun with the Panthers. I watch it a little bit. I don't really watch it too much. I usually watch like the first round or 2, and then I get bored, to be quite honest, because I don't know the fucking players. I don't know the players. I don't watch college, so it's like not really a big thing for me. I know it's big for like some other players, but like I watch it so I could see who my team gets in like the first or second round, and then I'm just like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I usually just throw it on the TV. I'll have it on. I'll see what happens. Talk to my friends about it a little bit. They know a little bit more about it than me, because I watch NFL, but like it's not my like major for sport or whatever. So instead of trying to sign Van de Ven, I would rather try and get more youth players. Some of our current ones could possibly go on loan. Well, we could do both. We could always sign more youth players at any time, whether we sign Van de Ven or not. There are many rumors that Rashi could be returning. Hope not. What a nightmare. Yeah, I don't think he will though, because Parth the Goat said United. What's up, Parth? But I don't think he will, Simon, because I don't think that the club. I said this before, but so when Ruben basically kicked him out of the team, and essentially out of Manchester. That wasn't only a call by Ruben Amorim, that was also a call by INEOS and Jason Wilcox and even Sir Jim Ratcliffe. They fully agreed on that. And that happened because INEOS, when they came in, okay, they were watching how he was behaving and how he was performing. And Ruben came in and kicked him out immediately. And they pretty much were like, oh, wow, so you see it too. Because, we've had our concerns. But, there is talent there, and we were hoping maybe we could try and make it work. But, when Ruben put his foot down on him about it, they were just like, yeah, we got to cut our losses. So, well, he won't come back. He'll come back temporarily in terms of like if the deal with Barcelona doesn't go through, then he'll have to temporarily come back till we find him to go somewhere else. But I don't think that they're just going to take him back like that, because I think they looked at that. They weren't happy with his attitude. They weren't happy with what he was given on the pitch and how much money we were paying. And also, again, you have to remember, he's on $325,000 a week, and they want to cut those people out. So I don't think there's a chance of Rashford coming back. In terms of, we won't see him play for us. He'll come back if we can't do a deal with Barca, because obviously the loan ends, and then we'll have to ship him somewhere else out. But I don't think we'll see him play again. So I'm not really worried about it. I'd be a bit surprised, because I do think that INEOS made that decision with Ruben, and I think that they looked at sort of the attitude and, what he was giving us, and that's why they just let him go, and they agreed with Ruben on it. So Pard says I'm a Barca fan. I'll tell you, Rashford has been brilliant for us, but non-existent in big games. I'd rather we let him go and someone young with lesser wage. Well, Parth, fair play. I have a problem with your club though, because I don't like what you guys did. Okay, I don't like the fact that I don't like the fact that you guys agreed to the deal that you guys agreed to. And like you said, to a certain degree, okay, he's been brilliant, but maybe non-existent in big games. But I think as far as how he performed for us in the last 2 seasons when he was with us, and how he's performed for you guys, I would say he's done good. Like, he's done well. And your club wants to go back on the agreement that they first agreed to, and either get another loan for him or get him on a cheaper price. And I like that aspect, because it was like, we have a deal, and he hasn't done necessarily bad. Like, if he was shit, I'd get it. But I think he's done good enough where you could say, well, the price might be is fair. So I have a problem with your club. I don't like that. I don't like that. Your club's trying to dick us around. Not you, but your club. I don't like that shit. Sancho said he would really like to go back to Dortmund. I think he would go back and drain the nightclubs dry. Is he still going out with that girl or no? Wasn't he dating one of the rapper chicks? I forgot who it was. Is he still fucking dating her? Consider Wilcox is cooking. Rashford might be the better left winger, but he will still leave if he comes back. Or the Barca would put Rashi on loan again instead of paying 26 million. Well, that's what they want to do, but we don't want to do that. So right now we're standing firm, saying, "Well, listen, we agreed to a deal that you would pay the fee if you want him at the end of the loan. The loan is coming to an end, and you are trying to take him on loan again. That doesn't benefit us. It only benefits them. It doesn't benefit us because the problem, the reason why it doesn't benefit us is because his contract is running down. We don't have time to send him out on another loan. We need the deal to be permanent. So it doesn't really help us. In fact, actually, it hurts us because all it does is Barca get him on loan, okay, and they'll pay some, small fee or whatever compared to the transfer value. He's still on our books. We'll lose another year, and then we'll lose even more money out of it, which is what I assume Barca is going to try and do. Like, they're going to try to loan him in again, waste another year off of the contract, and then when there's 1 year left on the contract, they'll offer United like fucking 13 million or something, like half. And then they'll take him because there's only 1 year left on the contract. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't like what Barcelona are trying to do because they're being, I mean, I can kind of get it. Like, they're looking out for themselves, but like, I don't think that's how you reach a deal, bro. Like, it's got to benefit both. And I think that they're being very greedy right now in that they're only trying to they're trying to walk out of the deal where they're the only beneficiary of this fucking deal. And it's like, well, hello. Like, we need something out of it too. We're not just gonna fucking, give you something for free or whatever. Like, we're not just gonna like do you a favor and fuck ourselves over. Like, what is this? Barn getting Gordon and they got Luis Diaz. Are they getting Gordon? Instead of behavior, it was probably the wages, which the penny pinchers saw the issue with. I think it was both, man. Listen, you got a guy, 225,000 a week, okay? Listen, and I'll tell you why, Hazib. I'll tell you why that it's not instead of behavior because Bruno gets paid a lot of money, and they would be willing to give Bruno a new contract and give him more money. Bruno does not have a bad attitude. Bruno is not going to walk on the pitch and not try. Bruno is also our captain, and he's the captain for a reason. But he's not going to have the situations that Marcus Rashford had. Rashford had an issue. People don't want to accept this. Like, and they make excuses all the time. I don't really care what the fuck it was, but you can tell. Bro was not happy. Bro was upset. And bro was not in a good, like, mental state at United. Whatever the reason was. But the attitude suffered because of it. And for me, what it did for me, what was done was when I watched him walk, because that is inexcusable. And any player that does that, and it could be anybody. You could be my favorite of all fucking time. But if I watch you walk the way he walked in that match, while the guy is fucking jogging next to him with the ball, you're never coming back from that for me. That's it. That's it. It's over. So you could tell. And I think it's both. Realistically. They look at that and they say, well, the performances aren't good. He's on 325,000 a week and he's not showing his worth. So why be keeping him here? That's why I think they agreed to do it. Because if Marcus Rashford was scoring goals and he was like enjoying time and he's not showing up to fucking training late and he's not fucking going out to nightclub and like missing training the next day and whatever other bullshit was going on, he wasn't doing any of that. And Rashford's scoring 15, 20 fucking goals in the season and he's helping us. I don't think they really. I think they probably look at him and say, "Oh yeah, he's on 325,000 a week, but we're getting some sort of money's worth for it." But when he's scoring like no goals and he's playing like shit, and you tack on all these other things, you look at that and you go, "This is a fucking waste of money. This is a waste of money. He's not happy here. He doesn't want to be here. He's not performing for us, and we're paying him all this money. Why do we have him? We gotta get rid of him. We gotta move him on." My shoulder is crooked. Nah, I think it's just the camera, bro. Or it's the shirt. I don't know. Alright, my shoulder's alright. I don't know. It's like the shirt or something. I thought it was the flu. I have a cold. Well, the deal has an optional purchase option, right? But I get your point. My big bro is a United fan, and we have these friendly fires now. So, oh, dude, that must be some heated shit going on in there. He's probably like, "Fuck your club." He's like, "You guys are trying to fuck us, you fucking bastard." Ah, shit, dude, that's great. Sancho is still dating. Just looked it up. Who is it? Who is it? I forgot her name. I really can't wrap my head around how we can't sell Marcus Rashford for measly 26 effing million. It's the wage, brother. It's the wage, brother. It's not the transfer fee. It's not the fee itself. Let's put it into perspective, my friend. Take 325,000, put it at, I don't know, 225K. Marcus Rashford, 225K for sale at 26 million. He's sold. It's the wage. It's not necessarily the transfer fee. It's the wage that's fucking everything up. It's the wage that is stopping a line of people wanting him. To so much so that it's only a certain amount. Also, it's a little bit of Rashford because he did this whole thing of like, if I'm leaving United, I gotta go somewhere that has like, you know, the same aura or whatever. It's gotta be on like a certain stature, right? Like he could have stayed at Villa, but Villa is not United. Villa is not Barca. It's not Real. It's not Bayern. So like he didn't stay at Villa. He wanted to go to Barca because Barca is Barca. Okay? So it's a little bit with that as well. But at some point he doesn't really have a choice if he wants to play football. But really it's the wage. The wage is the thing that fucks everything up. Because he left us, he wasn't playing great, and he wasn't on fire, and he had 2 back-to-back terrible seasons. And on that wage, people don't want to pay that wage. Now, he's gotten the Barca and he's done decently good. So, like, I think it's sort of a plus for us because it's like, well, look, you know, if we were smart, we'd be like, yeah, we're just the problem. You know, he's fine. Just fucking buy him. You know, it'd be all right. But Sancho, bro, actually thought he was going to be special. Saw him from the U17 World Cup days, ruined his own career, and we aided that. Yeah. Well, I was always worried, bro. I was always worried with Sancho because of how hyped he was and because he's English, and we paid a lot of money for him. And I was like, there's gonna be a lot of pressure for him to he's got to ball out, you know. And I was just like, I don't know if he's gonna do it, bro. And I always will say, like, dude, it's one thing you could ball out of the Bundesliga. And yeah, he did it in the Champions League, I guess, but like, it's one thing to ball out in the Bundesliga, it's another thing to do it in the Premier League. And then, like, obviously he didn't help himself. You know what I mean? He didn't help himself. with the way he handled certain situation with our manager. So some of our players have acted like spoiled brats who have had their toys taken away or are an ego problem. Yep. We aided in that because we gave them everything before they earned it. So this is because of his massive wages. We have Ed Woodward and whoever signed off on the Alexis Sanchez deal. Richard Arnold? No, Ed Woodward. Yeah. To blame for this almost a decade later, and that deal is still harming. Well, I believe Ed Woodward did the Alexis Sanchez deal, but I'm pretty sure Richard Arnold was the one that gave Marcus Rashford the new contract on the current wages that he's on. Pretty sure that was then. So that's what happens when you have two of the worst CEOs ever. So Parth, the GOAT, says, well, you got a new subscriber, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it very much. You're great, and since my bro is a fan, I am hooked to United, even if I like it or not, so I'll keep showing time to time so you guys have someone to dig at. Well, listen, we appreciate that, and you know what? I like it. I like it as well. I like, you're a Barca fan. You could come and give us some, maybe some non-biased sort of takes as well, because we're all United fans here, so maybe we get a little bit biased, and since you're a Barca fan but your brother's a United fan, maybe you could give us a different perspective, so I'm always here for that, brother. I'm always here for that, so thank you. Appreciate it, brother, and look forward to chatting it up with you from time to time when you pop in. Trouble is that Barca are so tight that they don't want to open their wallet and actually buy Rashi. They are tighter than a Scotsman on a Burns night. You say these things, I don't know what they mean. Scrooge must be in charge of Barca. We ain't friends though, bro. I remember crying in 2011 because of you lot. Well, I was well prepared for that. So, I was well prepared for that. I knew we weren't gonna beat them. I knew we weren't gonna beat them. So it was all right. It still hurt, but I knew we weren't gonna beat them. We weren't gonna beat that team, especially with what we found out later. I don't know if you guys ever heard Wayne Rooney talk about it, but when we went to go play that game, Sir Alex Ferguson basically told them, like, yeah, fuck all that. We're going to play exactly the way we play. We're going to play high up on them and all this shit. And, like, Rooney was just like, he just looked at his teammates and he was like, we're going to get fucking killed if we do that. And Sir Alex was like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, we're doing it our way. Which is typical Sir Alex, you know what I mean? Like, I can't hate him for that. And that's pretty much what happened. So, I mean, we tried our best, but we didn't adjust. We didn't adjust for their game, and fair play. Like, we did our thing, they did their thing, and their thing was better than our thing, and they won. So, fucking, what are you gonna do? Sanchez go. Oh yeah, so weedy. That's who it is. That's who it was. I couldn't remember what female rapper it was. Saweetie, the one that used to be with one of the Migos, Offset or Takeoff or who the fuck, or Quavo, one of them. I don't remember. One of those guys. See, tight is a thing because we were trying to spend 100 million on a new striker, 60 each on a new defender. It's just trying to avoid something. Well, listen, if they don't want to sign him, then just fucking don't sign him. Like, just tell us, like, yeah, we don't. Just tell us you don't want him, and that's it. Like, we'll be fine. It'll be all right. But then you tell us things like, we're trying to spend 100 million on a new striker and 60 each on a new defender and a winger, and we're like, so you can afford the 28 million. You just want it for cheaper. You just don't want to. No, because what I'm saying is you guys are trying to play us, because you're trying to play the situation. We don't want him, And you know the situation. You know that he's on 2 years left, and we're trying to get a deal. So it's not like we're in the strongest position. You know what I mean? We're not in the strongest position. You guys are trying to finagle that. You guys are trying to bob and weave that situation. You're trying to listen. I guarantee you, if United budge and they say, "Listen, we'll sell you Rashford for 20," yeah, you guys will sign him immediately. Immediately. Anything that saves you money on this fucking deal, you guys will sign him immediately. You just don't want to sign him for that money. Because you guys think that there's an angle there. And maybe you're right, but you think that there's an angle there where you'd be like, well, listen, we do want to sign a new striker for 100, and we want to, 60 each on a new defender and winger. We'll also take Marcus Rashford for as cheap as possible, because we'll add him to the squad. Why not? It's another player. I mean, he's done decently for us. We'll add him to the squad, and then we'll get another winger. We'll get a new striker. We'll get this guy for the cheap, and then he'll fucking help us later on. And we've pulled off a masterclass. You know what I mean? And this is why we have the problem, because it's like, listen, don't tell us you guys don't have money. For Rashford, don't tell us you don't have 26 million. All right, you can pay the 26 million. We know. They're trying to finagle the deal because the situation that it's in. We don't. He has 2 years left on his contract, so it's like, sort of an now or never. I mean, we're gonna sell him. We're not gonna sell him. We're gonna get fucked, but we're gonna lose him for free. We're gonna end up selling him for 13 million. Like, we were kind of hoping, we send him to Barca. He does well. He wants Barca. Barca, hopefully they like him, and they go, well, we'll pay 26 million. Like, and the point that we're trying to say as well is, like, the reason why we were willing to sell him for 26 million is because we understand that the wage is high. Because in reality, he should probably be going for 40 at least. But, like, we know that nobody's going to pay 40 plus 325,000 a week, which is why they did the deal in the first place of, like, listen, we'll sell him to you for 26 if you like him, because we know that the wages is high. And then you guys come back to us and you guys are like, yeah, we don't really know if we want to pay 26 million, but how about we take him on loan for another season? We don't really like him, but we'll be willing to take him on loan for another season. And it's just like, dude, stop fucking with us, man. Like, I know. I know this is what's happening. You want to know why? Because Deco is there, and Deco is fucking Portuguese. And this is what the Portuguese do. I know Portuguese, okay? This is the Portuguese, bro. The Portuguese, the scammers, some of them. They're always looking to scam people out of money. They're always looking to rip people off, bro. And Deco is there, and Deco's running the show. And Deco's trying to fucking rip us off, bro. I know what's happening. I know. I got 3 Portuguese friends. They've told me throughout my, 15, 16, 17 years of knowing them. They've been telling me. They're like, bro, look out. They're like, bro, the Portuguese, bro, they'll rob you, bro. They'll scam the shit out of you. This is what we do. They'll rip you right the fuck off. I know. It is. They told me. I got it straight from the source. A few years ago, we were trying to sign De Jong from Barca, and Barca didn't want to pay out for him. Yeah. Well, we also did get a story that was like not too long ago that they said that De Jong didn't actually want to leave Barca, so we couldn't get him. Like, if he wanted to leave, we probably would have got him, but he genuinely didn't want to leave Barcelona because he felt like he had unfinished business. So they said that was a big part of the reason, or the major reason as to why we ended up never getting him. It was literally De Jong. De Jong genuinely did not want to leave Barcelona. The report says Deco is avoiding signing Rashi because of his high wages. Well, that I could believe. I get it, but I would ask. I would ask Marcus because they reported that Marcus is willing to take a pay cut. So Marcus, what are you doing, bro, to make this deal happen? You taking the pay cut or not? Because he shouldn't be getting 325,000 a week at Barca. If he wants to stay at Barca, and he knows there's like issues, and you really want to stay at Barca, take the fucking pay cut, bro. I don't know. They reported that at one time Rashford was willing to take a pay cut on the wages. I don't know by how much. Could have been only 25K. It's technically a pay cut. But I don't know. Rashford, pull some weight, bro. Make it happen. Rashford would be left in limbo before long, probably. The song for Rashi, to quote a Clash song, should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go? The transfer window is only 6 weeks away or so. So there have to be some hard decisions on certain players unless we are going to target players from the World Cup. Yes, we gotta see. Let's see what we can get Rasmus for and see who we can sign for that money. Well, the money for Rasmus is already set in stone. So Rasmus Højlund transfer fee to Manchester United, that's already set in stone. So we got a 6 million euro loan fee from Napoli, okay? And then the obligation to buy, which is going through, is 44 million euros or 38 million pounds. So in total, approximately 50 million euros. That's how much we're getting in total for Højlund. So that's already set to go. So really, we need to see if we're going to sell Xerxes or not, how much we could get for him, and if we're going to sell Ugarte or not, and how much we're going to get for him. And I don't know if we're going to do any other outs, really, because we need more depth. So I don't even see how we do any more transfers out. Obviously there's Marcus Rashford, because he's not part of the squad or the future. So there's him. And then if there was something on Mason Greenwood today, apparently like Paris FC want him and are willing to put in like massive transfer bid to Marseille for him. And we have to remember that if they sell him, listen, if they sell Greenwood for 60 million, we get 50% of that. So if they sell him for 60, that's an extra 30. And he's an academy player. So I'm pretty sure that that's pure profit. So that 30 will be much higher for us on our books. So if Rashi comes to the board and says, I'm willing to take a pay cut, he stays 100%. Flick loves him. Well, then hopefully he does that, because that's what they reported at one time, that he was willing to take a pay cut. But, maybe I don't know. They say all types of things, so maybe it wasn't. Maybe he hasn't done that yet. Maybe he's sort of holding out to the last second, because I'm sure he wants as much money as possible. So maybe he hasn't pulled that card yet until until the last second. Until it's about to just break down, and then he steps in and he goes, listen, I'll take the pay cut, all right? I want to stay. And then they're like, you'll take the pay cut? And he's like, I'll take the pay cut. And they're like, all right, you're staying. So we'll see. Would you start Sesko on Monday night or have him on the bench? Where is he more lethal? Where he is lethal come off. No, we should start him. We should start him because the goal is for him to obviously be lethal when he starts. And we're getting towards the end of the season. And, we spent a good amount of money on him. And he's the future for the strikers. So we need him out there. He needs to learn from the get-go, and he needs to get into the groove of making impacts from starting matches and not getting used to being a super sub, essentially, because we didn't buy him to be a super sub. We bought him to be our main striker. So he's gonna have to he should start, and we gotta make it happen. I would rather Lugarte off. How about this? We sign Rashford for 26 and take care of all his wages, and you guys give us Bruno as a thank you gift. Yo, you Barca guys are greedy, man. You guys are greedy, bro. You take Rashford and all his wages, and then you want us to give us Bruno. We'll give you Ugarte. Do you need a midfielder? You need a central midfielder. We'll give you Ugarte. You guys said you needed a striker. We'll give you Joshua Zirkzee. Man said to give them Bruno as a thank you gift. That's a massive. Listen, if we give you Bruno as a thank you gift. If you guys win the Champions League, we need some sort of credit there, like on the trophy or something. You know, like if you win the Champions League following that deal, we needed to say like Barcelona and then like underneath just say like and special thanks to Manchester United or something. I don't know. We need something in return for that. That's that's a good one though. I like that one. Xerxes could be backup striker if Sesko gets injured, and would you get Welbeck back as a backup instead of having him scoring against us? I don't know. Oh, we could give you Mount. Or if you want Mount, Xerxes could be backup striker. See, but I don't really like him as a striker. I don't really rate Xerxes like that. I think Xerxes is another. I think Xerxes is actually better as a 10. And there ain't no room for him as a 10. So I don't think he does the job as a striker. He doesn't have the clinicalness of a striker. So I would sell him. I don't think he should stay. As far as Welbeck, no. I'm not a guy that ever likes to sign somebody back that we once had and no longer have. The only exception I ever made for that was Cristiano Ronaldo, because it's Cristiano Ronaldo. And even that didn't, it was good while it lasted, and then it ended horribly. So, it didn't even go that well. And that's with, the GOAT. So yeah. No, I wouldn't get Welbeck. But I would get somebody, somebody else, whoever. Somebody available. Mount and Ugarte could be sold for 50 million all told. Yeah, but I don't think we're selling Mount. That's the thing. I mean, Ugarte could go, but I don't think Mount's gonna get sold. Where are you from? Your accent is not very British. I'm not British. I am watching from Nepal. Oh, you're watching from Nepal. Okay, I know a couple people from Nepal. I'm from New York, so there's that. The accent is I'm not British. I'm American. I'm also part Maltese. Well, I'm 100% Maltese. From Malta. So and it's funny that you say from Nepal, because my cousin in Malta owns like 3 restaurants, and one of them is a sushi place, and he has like 3 or 4 guys from Nepal that work for him. So I've met them. they're cool guys. They're funny, actually. And yeah, a couple guys from Nepal. They live there. Brought them over from Nepal. They live in Malta now. So I don't know if you know where that is, but it's a small island in the Mediterranean right under Sicily. Shaw hopes to be taking part in the World Cup, providing he doesn't trip up for boarding the plane. Hopefully not. Rumor going around that Fabregas is the frame to be the next Chelsea manager. Makes sense. Could be. I mean, here's the thing as well. Like, listen, now Chelsea need a manager. Okay. All right. There's a potentially, but maybe not, but we don't know 100%. But maybe Slot gets sacked, which would then mean that Liverpool need a manager. And we're also technically supposed to maybe need a manager. If we're not going with Carrick, we'd have to get somebody else. And, you know, that makes it not as good for us. Because we sort of had a bit of a straight shoot for the last couple months in that, like, nobody was really looking for a manager besides potentially us. And we had, like, this great big list. And so there was less competition. But now the list is quite small or smaller. There's less options. And, you know, Chelsea sacking Rossinier, they're going to be looking at, you know, they might be looking at some of the people that we might be looking at. And if Liverpool slacks out, they'll probably join the fray in the same thing. And also, I'll tell you this. If Arsenal don't win the Prem or the Champions League, which I don't think they will, I fully expect Arteta to be sacked. I think he should be sacked. And if he doesn't, and if he does get sacked, then Arsenal need a new manager as well. So, but, you know, I could see Arsenal just not sacking him because it's Arsenal. You know what I mean? They might just keep him. But in my genuine opinion, a manager of any club, I don't really care what club it's for, you get 6 years and you win 0 trophies in 6 years and you just bottled the league in the way that they just bottled the league, you got to get sacked, bro. Like, you clearly can't get over the line. And to get your club over the line, you got to get a guy that's, he's a better elk. You know, he's a step above you, which is, in my opinion, is what Arsenal would need to do. Like, if they don't win the Prem and they don't win the Champions League, which I don't think they will, but if they don't, okay, and it's, you know, 100% confirmed, done, and over, then Arteta needs to be sacked. And if they don't sack Arteta, I'll laugh at them because I think that's a fucking joke and that's hilarious. But I would expect them to do so because it's to the point where it's like he clearly cannot get you over the line. He was the guy that came in, stabilized, and built you to this certain level, but now he can't get over the line. You need a guy that gets over the line. So, you know, not only we might be forced to just stay in with Carrick. You know, we might not even be 100%. They might not even be 100% convinced by Carrick. But we might end up in a situation where we get forced into that almost. And that, you know, Chelsea, potentially Liverpool, and potentially Arsenal, all looking for new managers while we still haven't made a decision on ours. And if they wanted to get somebody else besides Carrick, well, you know, there's a lot of big teams right now going, you know, we may potentially miss out on somebody. They might go somewhere else, so. As Igor is out of a job, maybe he can be Chelsea boss. And see them go down. Yeah, I do know. We have a very good geology knowledge. Name a country, and we can instantly tell where it is. Well, the reason why I say that, I should know better, but the reason why I say that is because growing up my whole life, okay, on this side, nobody knows what my country is. They don't know what it is. They don't know where it is. They never heard of it. Okay, so it's like I'm used to just like telling people like, yeah, my my parents are from Malta, and they're like, where? They're like, what? What's that? I'm just like, it's a small country in the Mediterranean under Sicily, and they're like, oh, because I gotta tell them like it's under Sicily, and then they're like, oh, okay, I know where that is, like, but like they've never heard of it. So like I'm used to just telling that, but then like I've always found out like anybody not on the west side of the world, okay, like South Americans don't generally know or North Americans don't know, but anybody that's generally somewhere in and around Europe, or even I guess Asia, but yeah, on that side, they tend to know. I guess maybe because it's on their side anyway, but yeah, I always realized that. Like I talk to like like I'll meet like a Polish guy, and I'm like, yeah, like we're from Malta, and they're like, oh, I know where that is, and I'm like, oh, you do? And they're like, yeah, yeah, of course, and I'm like, oh, all right. Fair play. Usually I have to explain it, but okay. Not a good time to be a supporter of London Club. You know what? You just reminded me. And after I say this, we are gonna have to get off, okay? But I will tell you this, all right, real quick. Oh my god, I hope I can find it. Okay? I wrote a poem once, and it was such a good poem. And I don't write poems, all right? My nose won't just won't stop. I hate being sick. Let me see. Let me see if I find it. Okay, this is a poem I wrote once upon a time. All right, you guys ready for this? Because you're talking about London, yeah. This is not a good time to be a supporter of London clubs. All right. Roses are red, violets are blue. What color is London? Because I don't have a clue. Because they all took L's. This is like one time I forgot when it was. I think this was in 2023. Yeah. And it was like on a weekend. It was in February, and like Arsenal lost, Chelsea lost, and Tottenham lost. Like they all lost, and then we moved up to third, and we were on 46 points, and Arsenal were on 51 points, and they lost, and then City were on 51 points, and they were in first, so we were chasing them, and I don't know. They all lost in one weekend, and I was just like, I need to write a poem. So I wrote Arsenal L, Chelsea L, Tottenham L. Roses are red, violets are blue. What color is London? Because I don't have a clue. And that shit got like 1.2 million views, and like 5,000 likes, and like a bunch of retweets. And I was just like, I didn't expect it to blow up like that. Uh, I thought it was like a stupid comment that I was just gonna make. Like I thought like I was gonna get like 10 likes, and it fucking blew up, and I was like, it's so dumb, like because it was so dumb. Like it was just like I was just trolling, and but it blew up, and then like people were like, this is amazing. They're like, this is so good. They're like, you didn't just make that up. I was like, I did. Like it just popped up into my head. Like I don't know what to tell you. Um, Hockey bunch of people. Rossignol had a contract for 6 years at Chelsea, and he was out after 107 days. Chelsea will get through 3 managers next season every 3 to 4 months. Yeah, I don't know. They're a bit cooked, man. Like they gotta just, some of our fans, some of our United fans, they're like, they were trying to tell me like they're like, we gotta do what Chelsea does. It's just like if they don't do good, we gotta sack them. I'm like, do you not fucking see what's going on over there? I was like, dude, it worked maybe under Abramovich in a certain way. But I was like, it wasn't even like to the extent that they're talking about. Like they'd get a manager in, but they'd still give him a certain amount of time, and then they would sack him. And then like they had managers for a certain amount of time, they'd win things, and then afterwards, it started falling apart. They'd sack him. And like now, they've accelerated what they used to do, and they're not even giving them enough time. Like they're just like, oh, you're not at first, sacked. Like they're not going anywhere either. these guys. So I can't wait to see Chelsea playing Thursday night football while we are enjoying Champions League football. That'd be good because I got a Chelsea friend. I got a Chelsea friend. I got an Arsenal friend. Well, I got a couple Arsenal friends. But I specifically the one that I'm going to see. I got an Arsenal friend. Got a Chelsea friend. I got a girl that I know that she's a Spurs fan. Okay. Couple of my other friends are United fans, and I think like two of the other guys that I know they're Liverpool fans. So we're all just like fucking collectively together. You know, it's like the top six. We're all together. Um, so I'm hoping Spurs gets relegated. Okay, so I can laugh at the girl because she tried to talk shit to me when they took when they beat when they beat us for the Europa League, and I told her, and I have the message saved because I'm that petty. I have the message saved. I told her, enjoy this trophy. I said, enjoy your gift because we gifted it to you because that was the worst performance I've ever seen us play, and it was the worst final ever. I told her, enjoy this gift because it is the last time you will see a trophy for the next 52 years. And she was like, she tried to tell me, like, she's like, no, next year we're winning a trophy, and she's like, we're doing better than you. And I was like, no, 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 you're not. No, you're not. And clearly, no, they're not. So I'd like for them to get relegated so I could laugh in her face. That'd be good. And then Arsenal lose the league so I could laugh at my Arsenal friend. Chelsea to be out of the Champions League and not even be in the Europa League, maybe be in the Conference League, so I could banter my Chelsea friend. I would have liked it if Liverpool didn't make it into the Champions League and they got into Europa League, so I could banter my Liverpool friends. And I don't know any Manchester City fans, so you know they could win the league, and I don't have to hear anything. It'd be good. Tottenham are not playing European football. All my birthdays and Xmas have come all at once. Strong for Chelsea. Stamford Bridge is falling down. Are you doing a watch along Monday night? I might. I might. I might. I gotta see. I gotta see. What a great stream tonight. It's been fun. Hope to catch the next one. Have a good day. All. Yep, be good. I gotta get off too because I've been on for way too long. Okay. Listen. Usually we stream tomorrow, but I don't think I'll be able to stream because I do have work, and I don't think I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it back in time. Like by the time I get home, I think it's gonna be very late, especially for you guys on the other side of the ponds, multiple ponds. So probably no stream tomorrow. I doubt it. I mean, unless I get out sort of earlier than than I'm expecting to get out, because again, I don't actually know for how long I'll be there. So I'm just sort of guessing, or I'm just estimating the normal standard length of time, which would be 8 hours. And if it's eight hours, I won't get home till it'll be like 11:30, 12 a.m. UK time. And by the time I set up the show and do all that shit, it's gonna be way too late. So it's like not, it's not possible to do it. So no stream tomorrow. And then we'll probably stream either a Saturday or Sunday coming up before the match. So we'll talk a little bit more about the match. And then obviously, we should be good for Monday for the Red Devil recap, because I haven't been able to do the last two ones because work has interfered. So I think I should be good for that one though. I should be around. So I'm just looking at the calendar, see something. So that's good there. Okay. Well, that's today. I need to know that tomorrow, Saturday, but Sunday. tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. Is there oh, there's FA Cup. Yeah, maybe we'll do the stream on Sunday and not Saturday, okay? So, if you're around 8:15 p.m. UK time, Sunday, we'll do a stream, live stream. We'll do it the day before we play, and then Sunday I'll let you know if I'll do a watch along or not. The watch alongs are kind of I like to do them, but they're just a pain in the ass to do because I got to do that stream. I got to set up the other stream. It's like, I kind of just like to do the Red Devil recap. So we'll see. All right, I'll let you know Sunday. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I might come for your board if they don't sign Carrick. Absolutely love that bloke for some reason. He's just a good guy. He's just a genuine guy. He's just there. He's just doing his job. He doesn't have like a massive ego. He just. I like him too. I always loved him as a player. So, we'll see. We'll see what they do. I don't know what they're gonna do. I have no clue. I mean, I kind of, sometimes I feel like, they're just gonna give him the job because it's like the easier thing to do and it's like the cheaper option to do. And then like I'm like, yeah, but like with these guys, you just never fucking know. Like it could seem like they're gonna do it and then they don't do it. So like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But all right, see, man. Good chatting to you. Yeah, Parth, be good. Enjoy. The rest of you enjoy as well as Simon and the lot of you and everybody else that was watching in the background. Appreciate it very much. Top fans for today from YouTube: Hasib, number 1, Simon, number 2, and Omar, number 3. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the new subscribers. Shout out to the new chatters. Shout out to Parth for subscribing. And lovely chatting with you, brother. And we'll see each other on Sunday if you're around. And also we'll be obviously live for Monday as well. So be good, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your nights or mornings or whatever time it is for your day. Be good, and we'll speak very, very soon. Okay. Thank you.